We're not recording yet? Then we messed up on me. Okay, now it's ready. Okay.
Thanks, Mark.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mark.
So has everybody reviewed the agenda, and is there a motion to accept the agenda?
I motion to accept the agenda.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So we have some public members here. This is a time set aside on the agenda for citizens and visitors to address the Board of Trustees on any topic. Speakers will be restricted to 3 minutes unless otherwise permitted. Minutes may not be donated or transferred from one speaker to another. The board will not take any action on any item not listed on the agenda. Nor will it respond to questions. Although staff may be directed to respond at a later time, the board welcomes and values the input and feedback from the public. Is there anyone who'd like to address the board? Go ahead.
Good morning. My name is Les Larson. You probably know some of you, but I'm the president of the Camden County Republican Club. And I came in this morning with the invitation for the board to consider coming to our January meeting. What we're looking at is having for that evening subject matter on the libraries. There's a lot of There's always a lot of questions about the library, what are they doing, how do they do this, and what the format is, et cetera, et cetera. So what I've done is I've talked to the Camdenton School about them coming. They've agreed to come and talk about the same topic of how libraries are handled in books with the school and how they approve things and et cetera, and how they're organized. And I'd like to extend that invitation to come to the Camden County Library Board as well. Don't need a decision right now or anything like that. I just propose it out for you to consider. And then maybe you can get back to me and we can talk about it, and then we can, if it works out, then we can be a little more detailed about how the format would work that evening. The meeting is tentatively scheduled for make sure I get the right date, in January. It's a Tuesday night. It would be January 16th. Our meeting started at 7 o'clock. We have them at the Community Christian Church down the road on 5. And if you can decide if it works out, and then who would come. And then we'll have to figure out the format between. I've also extended the invitation to the School of the Osage as well with their library and how they do things. So if we could get the 3 groups together and then do a little presentation, maybe talk about how the process works for getting books into the library. Do you have book fairs? How that works? Just the organization, I think, of just the board itself and how that plays out into all the different libraries. I think there's a lot of people that don't really realize how many libraries there are in the county. And so this would be a good information piece for, you can sell yourself and as to what you're doing and get the communication out there. And then at the end, I would encourage to be set up so you can do some Q&A. People have questions and they want to ask them or whatever. So I just came this morning to present that as an offering, an invitation, and for you as a board to think about it. If you can, if you've got my contact or somebody you do, information to get back to me, and then as we get closer to the date, because we're not having a meeting in December from the club, but if we get closer to the date, then we can talk about the format, how it would work, and I don't know if we're going to get all 3 of you up there at the same time, or we'll have one at a time, or I'm not sure. We'll see how that best works. We do have the ability to do a PowerPoint presentation, but I find that most people would rather just hear somebody talk and then get to the Q&A part of it, because that works really well. So that's the purpose of my being here this morning, to extend that invitation to you as the board and to the libraries. And I hope it'll work out and that you would come and take advantage of that for people to hear and get a chance to sell yourself. So, and answer questions in people's minds. So, if you have any question of me at this time, so.
One question I would like is, can you give us your contact information so we have it for the record?
Sure can. Yeah. And you can contact me directly or email me or.
Thank you.
Yeah. You bet. Okay, very good. Let me hear from you. I appreciate it.
Nice meeting you. Is there anybody else who would like to say anything? Okay.
Last time I also introduced myself. My name is Adam Cooper. I'm an applicant for the library director position. I'll be here the entire time this time, so if anyone wants to speak after the fact. But I just want to say hello to everybody.
Okay, good morning. Good to see you.
Okay, so did everybody review the minutes, the October 13th minutes and the November 3rd minutes? And is there a motion to approve those minutes?
No motion to approve.
I'll second.
There's all in favor?
Aye.
So we'll move on to the treasurer's report.
Everybody got my corrected copy. I forgot to change the date at the top. Denise pointed it out.
Well, even the,
Was there?
the
Yeah.
copy that you
Let me
sent
find it.
was the same as the one that, had the different date on it. Vicky.
Oh, geez, that was a typo.
The October,
I'll get those corrected and get them out. There, it's 10/1 through 10/31.
well, in the transferring of operating, is that, 1/12/23? Is that,
Yes, everything, everything, this is a monthly thing. It's done and for the month. That's the transactions for the month. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
this
Must be
was-
having a
this is
problem with
the
this.
Thing that I saw and then Vicky saw these.
Okay, yes, there's a
And then
transpose
this-
that should have been a 10 and it
Yeah,
didn't
and
change
then
at the
this-
bottom.
October,
could I
this one.
request that you put the title more in the middle so that it,
It is in the middle on mine.
you know,
Okay, certainly, sure, yep,
or at least maybe a few more spaces over
Yeah,
or something?
I apologize for that.
So the Oak Star Money Market account 9/1 to 9/30, that was.
It's 10,
that's
it's, everything is
10.
October, we're in November, we're doing October.
Okay.
Which report are we looking at?
We are looking at the
The treasurer's.
treasurer's
I don't
report,
have
that gives
anything
the,
labeled back.
pardon me?
I don't have anything labeled.
The
That.
Treasurer's Report Money Market, it's a short one that looks like this, Bill.
I'm sure it is.
Oh, well,
I'm looking at, I'm in some kind of, open and word list of all the attachments, and it's like October 2023
Here
is
you go.
everything, and nothing but treasurer's report.
I do the treasurer's report, which is a list of transactions for the month in each of the accounts.
Yeah, I know what it is.
And this one, so
I just
you're not
don't know.
able to open that?
I just don't know how to, I have documents that say like October 2023-SB or October 2023-ST.
Oh, those are the months,
Those are the branch reports.
yes, by branch.
I see a circulation
Abbreviation.
report and a statistics report
Okay,
and a website.
and that email comes out usually on Wednesdays before, and then the Treasurer's Report comes out like on the Wednesday.
I sent them out on
It's in a different
Tuesday.
email, that's what I'm trying. I'm
Correct.
Yes, and I have a suggestion for all of these reports that we're doing. Maybe it would be better if I sent them to you as a PDF so that you don't have each individual files. You have one file for everything.
I like what I'm getting.
Do you?
So
Okay,
that's-
all right.
That's just me, though.
Okay,
If
well-
there's a consensus on they'd like it a different way, then that's fine. The one
I don't normally have the dates.
recommendation I would like to make is could you
Yeah, okay.
make the disbursements just a second page in the operating expenses?
Of the treasurer's
Spreadsheet?
report?
Yeah, yes.
The bills payable?
I know I'm on to something else, but before I forget, in the disbursements,
Mm-hmm,
if you could make disbursements page 2 in the operating, and I don't know what everybody, but in the operating
in this
statement, yes.
are the bank reconciliation.
That's the transfer operating.
Well, that's the treasurer's report, and then you have an operating account, and then you have.
Yeah,
a
I'm getting ahead of
payroll
us.
account.
I'm sorry. I'll
No,
address
no,
that.
no,
then. Okay.
No,
In
that's
the-
fine.
In
but
the, in the operating account, if we could make disbursements page 2 in that, because that ties directly into the, less checks per bucks, which is 60, 50.
Okay, yes, that is the
What do
treasurer's.
you think about
Yes,
that?
I
mean,
can do
that's-
that. Absolutely.
That's for everybody else to, if you're good with that, that'd be handy. So I don't have to go hunting for it. There is a lot.
It would come out of the operating account because these checks do come out of the operating account. Absolutely. I
Okay,
can make that as just part, page 2,
great.
if
Thank you.
that's okay with everyone else.
So are we talking about the report that says treasurer's report operating account?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
That, I jumped
To me, it's just like
jumped the
this
rails.
one
I
little
apologize.
thing. Is there more to it than just this little
That's
one
it.
pager?
That's it.
Okay.
But what he's recommending is that they go ahead and put the bills payable list in
As
conjunction
part of
with that. at the
Page,
bottom
page
of-
2, yeah, page 2 of the spreadsheet.
You
That
want to
way,
make a new page.
yeah, on the.
Yeah,
Combine.
that comes-
It'd be
that
one,
comes
it'd
out
be
as a-
one,
out as some-
yeah, I'm sorry.
That's, no, I would just make that your operating account slash, bills payable.
Yeah.
I can do that.
Did everybody buy Halloween candy? All the branches buy Halloween candy?
I believe so, yes.
I don't think all the branches are listed here on it's a sticky little thing. I'm just curious if why some are and. I didn't
Well,
see anything
Sunrise
from-
Beach did not because they participated at the school.
But she did buy Halloween candy.
She may have, but she did, and she may have handed it out on that day, but she also participated in yes, she sent
Yeah, I
a
read
receipt
that in
for
her
payment,
report.
yes,
Right, right.
out there.
I didn't see anything from Max Creek and I didn't see anything from Climax Springs. That's why I was curious. Cause I thought it should be fair across the board.
It is.
If we're doing that. So I'm just curious where the others were.
Yes, Amy handed out candy. Marie, they all handed out candy.
So Amy's is on here. I don't see Jenny's.
Now Jenny, I know I thought she did too because she sent me a receipt for a
Did anybody
payment.
else see it? Just is it me just overlooking something?
And maybe she
Yeah,
might
I
not
saw
have
it.
put that in there, in her report.
So it's not on the disbursements. That's my question. So if it's on the report, should it not be on the disbursements?
Depends on when I got the receipt. This is from October, so it might be on next month. If they bought the candy and didn't get the
Okay.
receipt into me, then I won't pay it until.
Okay.
um,
I'm just looking.
But yes, I
consistency,
think,
that's all.
see the one there, Claire, she was reimbursed for Halloween candy
Yeah,
at Sunrise
and I see-
Beach.
And I see Amy's.
And
right there
Amy's,
too,
mhm.
Yeah, I see that.
Marie, I'm still waiting for a receipt.
Okay. I'm also a little concerned still, I still have a concern about the tuition reimbursement that's on here as well. It's a lot of money this month and it was more money last month to the same person. So I think that that's a subject that y'all need to think about for 2024 is the public paying for everybody's tuition at the library to go to school.
Would it help for us to know what the classes are?
I think that would help. I asked for that
Would that
earlier.
be-
Well,
would
that was my
would
mistake. I
fall-
misunderstood. I thought you wanted to know what the group degrees that they were getting. But absolutely, I can get the classes and.
A line, as a line item, yeah, I understand that that's payment for some classes and so I guess that's somewhat out of branch, so it could be in that branch report that,
She doesn't do a branch report, so,
okay.
but I can pull all of their reimbursements and tell you what classes they were reimbursed for and what grade they got in the classes and how much they were
Okay.
actually reimbursed
Yeah,
for.
there's this one girl in September. We
Shauna?
paid-
Or Deborah. Deborah,
I'm not saying names. 1125, and then this month, 2250. That's a lot of money, and we're already like $5,200 and some change over budget.
Mhm.
Where exactly are we going to take this money from? Because we're gonna have to take it from other pots. To balance the budget. We can't go over.
well, we are going to go over on the budget, I'm sure, in that because that item the budget was done prior to knowing that we were going to have 2 people going to attend school.
So when you have a certain amount, like, let's say you have $1 million, for example,
Mhm.
and you divvy it up according to your different departments.
The board
uh,
votes on the
which de-
budget, yes.
Which department is going to donate to cover the amount?
I don't think that any of them will. I don't think that we will need to take it out of the budget.
How much are we over?
Whenever we go over budget, we have to, whenever we are audited, we have to explain our budget discrepancies to the accountant. And that's pretty much what we've done, or we have done a budget adjustment in the past. The auditor has told us that if you approve the bill to be paid, there doesn't necessarily need to be a budget adjustment made. If you would prefer, you can make a budget adjustment to make the adjustment to pay for things as they need to be paid.
I think the question seems to be from Denise is, she's looking at line item, okay, versus total budget.
Budget, right.
And Vicky, you're talking about total budget.
Yes, I am.
Which is basically, we don't need to, as long as it falls within the same category of total expense for the library, the $1 million amount that you're talking about, Denise. We don't transfer from line to line.
As of right now, each individual, like the materials, the operations, the personnel, all of those separate categories are below budget.
Okay, how much are we below budget?
Right here on the report.
Okay.
Okay, so in, right here for your expenses. Now this one, I'm going to use this one and it's going to show that we are way over budget. That's because we have $32,000 of reimbursable capital expenditures that we bought grants. Once we are done with our grants, then I put that budget number in there. That's money that we have gotten from our grants and is just reimbursable expenses.
You have to look at the revenue side as opposed to just the expense.
Right, just the expense side. Now, the materials, as of right now, or as of the end of October, we are $13,634 below our budget.
Okay, now
That's what we have spent, and that's what our budget is, and that's what we are
what's
below.
left over.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so now,
And then the same on our operations. On the operations, as of the same October 31st, we are $62,808 below budget.
How does our savings come into play? I mean, we have a lot of money just sitting in savings.
Yes, we do.
the
So if we
saving-
go over budget, can't we just take from?
We
there?
will not need to. If we need to, we could.
Would you like
But
to
The
nickel
point is we
and
should-
dime the savings account so that in case
We
we
have a
don't?
lot more than nickel and dimes in the savings account.
Well, nickels and dimes are also not liquid assets. Some of them are buildings.
The savings account?
no,
No,
our
not the savings, but the total.
assets on our budget,
Assets,
on
yeah.
our balance sheet.
Sure.
Right.
It looks like a lot, but when you figure that most of it is buildings, we have supposedly 1 year cushion.
A little bit
So-
more, maybe.
So let's say that
So we
the
could-
government decides they're not gonna give us any money, at least we have 1 year to cover expenses.
So if they
And
ever
if
decided
you
that,
decide you're gonna keep taking money out of there, there won't be anything for that rainy day.
I'm not talking about doing that as a recurring fact, but I know from running a business that there are years that I will run short or run over budget, and I'll have money in savings, so I'll use that. And then the next year, when I make a budget, I try to budget in such a way that I'll replenish my savings. So there's a wash between multiple years. It's not like every year has to be a balanced budget.
But how do you feel when you almost lose everything because you
I don't always, I
budgeted?
don't get to that point. I don't allow that.
Well, the problem, Denise, the only way we're not going to generate the kind of revenue that we need to operate this budget is to have a complete loss of property tax, which is where we get the majority of our funds. Okay, what we get from the state is really I know you nickel and dime, you're concerned about the nickels and dimes, and the state money is in the thousands of dollars, but it's not in the $250,000. It's in a small amount. So what we have in reserves, if we were to lose state funding, we could operate for numbers of years, unless, of course, like I said, the property tax, revenue, were to completely fall apart. And then if we completely fall apart, there's gonna be a whole lot of other things falling apart around here.
Like I said,
So-
in the last 6 years, I think we've only had 1 year where the income was over the expenses.
Well, we're
Or
just
the
spending.
I mean, the expenses were over the income backwards, said that backwards, yes.
It just, I mean, if you look at your pie, I mean, we're just.
I know,
there's
but
a lot
that
in
pie
there, you know,
is, that
for-
pie is kind of deceiving. We're not over anything.
Well, I
but
guess I
the
don't have any
pie is
issue.
Showing that over 3/4 of our budget goes for personnel.
Right now,
And,
yes.
and the library proper doesn't really have that much. Operating's not that much, materials are not that much, and whatever the other is, probably repairs and things.
Well, it's broken out by your, as your profit and loss. Each
Normally,
one,
your
personnel.
cost of personnel and benefits represent, in most businesses, 75% of your total cost anyway.
At least,
So yes, that's probably true to me.
Mhm.
and especially in some place where it's service oriented, we don't make anything.
Yeah.
We're not selling anything.
Well, the reason I'm concerned, about all this is, now you said this is gonna be left over at the end of the year too?
No, I said that is how
Or
much,
just this?
well, we don't know until we're at the end of the year as to what comes in. The budget is very fluid. It's going to change and change and change, but as of right now, as of the end of October 31st, that's how much below budget we are. Here is your
Okay.
actual figures.
So this is probably gonna cover December.
You still
know,
have 2 months, we're always behind, so we have 2 months
2
worth
months.
of bills to pay, November and December.
Yeah, so, the reason I'm concerned about what we're gonna have at the end of the year is something we're gonna be addressing shortly.
We have, we probably have, if you look at our balance sheet, in our money market account, we have $681,000, and that does not include our reserve funds of $1.2 million. And as I have said before, we have kind of let those funds build up, because in the future, we're going to have make some decision about libraries in some of the outlying areas. Osage Beach may need, and Sunrise Beach.
Yeah.
So we probably have a little bit more in reserves than what may be recommended,
Mhm.
but for that reason.
What's missing in this for me, what I'm used to seeing in a bit, in any kind of organization, is, I think, I know QuickBooks creates a budget versus actuals kind of report.
That's what this is.
Yeah,
Where is that?
Financials. It's, what's it called?
It's profit and loss
It's
budget.
October 2023 financials?
Yes, I
Yeah.
put the balance sheet, the
Hmm.
profit and loss, and then the company snapshot in there.
That's the one I couldn't see because it says something went wrong while the document preview was being created. I have that recurring problem.
Yeah, I need to do something different
That
with
should
it.
have come across as a PDF, so you
Yeah.
shouldn't have any trouble.
Yeah, that one was a
Should've
PDF.
Downloaded as a PDF.
It still doesn't work.
I ran into
My
that
other
with,
reports
some
work, but
things I
that
got
one
from-
doesn't.
Yeah, I've gotten some things from other people that I've gotten some PDFs that just my reader just kind of goes, huh? It does.
Maybe if I,
It doesn't see it. Doesn't.
yes, when I downloaded it works.
Okay, so is
Thank you.
there any more discussion regarding the budget at this
The
point? in
treasurer's
time?
report.
Treasurer's report.
So I do, I've lost this question through the discussions. So projecting it's very possible, it's very possible in the tuition assistance
Mhm.
that you could have a surge in that.
Of course,
And, so there's.
but we can control that.
So what I'm saying is that can't be, you have to be fair to people.
Yes, you do.
But it can't be an endless, pot. So at some point, are you able to fairly what do I say?
Control it.
Use your discretion to control that and say, we can't right now?
Yes.
How do you do that?
Well, whenever you apply for the tuition assistance, you will talk to your supervisor, and then your supervisor will bring it to the director, and director makes the decision, yes or no.
Yeah,
Like I said, we've had this in place since if I remember correctly, it's been a long time, 2014 maybe,
yeah,
and we've had 4 people use the tuition assistance program. Just so happens right now, we have 2 people that are doing that. That's why. So it's not like that we have an overabundance. We just have 2 people right now.
no, and I don't have a problem, I'm saying just, to.
But yes, it can be
prepare for-
controlled. You can change the reimbursement, how you want to reimburse.
Yeah.
That is a policy, so that can be changed. That's all a board decision.
Me personally, I work for a large corporation, I use their tuition assistance, and then one day they just shut it off, and I said, oh, that's cool, I'm glad I got some.
And I,
You know, and that, you know, but not everybody thinks that way, so how do you, that's what I'm saying,
Public comment.
it's almost a,
Go ahead.
well, just go ahead.
No, you're finished.
So what I guess, I'll try to shorten this up, what I was getting at is maybe instill the understanding of that we can do this, but, you know, I mean, maybe people need to understand that we can do this, it's not an endless pot, and, you know, I don't know how you do that,
Well,
but.
We changed the reimbursement.
the policy
The A
can
and the B
change,
and the
but
C.
I do want to make a point that right now our policy
change reimbursement.
requires the people that do take advantage and do get a degree and have to stay with the library for 2 years.
Yes.
So
So-
they making a commitment to do this based on the fact that they will stay there for 2 years.
Yeah,
So
I understand
that is something, so they have to be invested in doing it.
Yeah,
But,
that helps with the surge, yeah, that does
Yes.
help, that helps with that.
and
I would like to interrupt for a minute.
Certainly.
If you could add to the agenda for next month, a review of the tuition reimbursement policy so that we can adjust the percentages.
And I guess that would be, that was gonna be my next,
Yeah.
that was gonna be my, is it 100% right now, or what? I
it
don't
is
see it.
approved for the budget for 2024.
Okay, so if we do get a big surge, you can explain to everybody, there's only so much of a pot, and we're gonna have to go to a percentage of your tuition, right? That would be a way of handling it
We
fairly
make
with
an
everybody.
amendment to change the policy.
Right, and I don't see anybody, nobody has approached me or even been any kind of talk or anything about anybody else attending.
Yeah, I understand
I
that.
think we've already-
I'm strictly looking at how do you handle this in the future? We grow, we have a bunch of people that all of a sudden wanna get tuition, and I've seen it, you know, I mean, I've
Yes.
seen it my own
Yeah,
personal.
and
So, and they just shut it down. We
that's
can't
not,
do this.
I would not,
I believe we already had this discussion and said this is the policy for 2024.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
Well, it
you
all
look
ties
at-
into the budget when
Well,
you've got big
No,
expenses
it's
for
not
tuition
the
reimbursement going on.
policy, it's the budget for 2024.
And it's the
We
public
can
is paying
adjust
for
the
this.
policy anytime the board
It's not our money.
chooses.
Sure, but it won't affect the 2024 budget.
It's the
Oh,
public.
it's not gonna affect the budget at
Okay,
all.
so then it's not gonna affect
No.
anything you're talking about,
but
Yes,
we
it will.
we
not
do,
for 2024.
we do need to discuss that, because, you know, the condition that I said okay to this budget, the condition that I voted aye to pass that budget, was to say that there will be no surprises for the next budget, that we don't know enough about this budget, we need to get business running.
So 2025, we'll have no surprises.
Yeah, 2025 will have no surprises, but so I'm asking the
Good luck
questions
with that.
now.
yeah, there's always gonna be
But we
some kind of
still have to
surprises.
Sure,
adjust the
no, I get it, I
policy,
get it,
whether you
I
like
know,
it or
I
not.
know.
But,
We have to
but,
address it.
I don't object to just adjusting the policy, it just won't have an effect in 2025.
Right,
yeah,
and Bill and I had a conversation about
Just-
realistic, you and I had the conversation about realistic budgets.
Yeah,
You know,
budgets aren't perfect.
no, they are not,
They're our best guess of what's gonna happen next year.
exactly.
yes.
I think it's something that we should bring up and maybe have the public have some input on, because it's their money that's paying for their schooling.
That's why I didn't have
So-
this discussion with one-on-one or on email or anything else, because I wanted to all be, how are we doing this? Okay, we're spending this money, how are we doing it, and how do we handle it if it exceeds the budget or it threatens to exceed it and we don't have the money to do that? So that's a discussion I wanted to have. I think I'm satisfied with what I've heard so far, if there's anybody else.
Is it
Well, if you have any
possible
more
to
questions,
bring up
just
a
let me know and I'll be
referendum?
sure. I can get you the
for
figures
vote
back,
in
and as soon as I know of anybody
2024,
that is
we can
interested,
look
I will
into
let the board
We
know.
need to talk
Yeah,
one at a
I'm
time.
watching the reports. I'm happy.
Okay.
Very happy.
Well, I think it's still an issue that's probably concerning some of us, and so if there is a referendum, and it is talking about the public money that the public is spending to pay for the library people's tuition, the public should probably have some say-so about it, I think, so,
Yeah, I think so.
it might be something to think about in the future. Is there any more discussion? We'll move on.
Treasurer's report.
I motion to accept the treasurer's report.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Move on to bills payable. We kind of included that. Is there anything specific on bills payable anybody would like to discuss? Okay, everybody in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so moving on to the old
Who
business.
seconded it?
Who seconded it?
I second.
Oh, I didn't hear you, sorry. Okay.
Maybe I should announce the seconds, and so maybe I should try to do that, yeah.
Just didn't hear.
For old business, the first thing on the agenda for old business is the Sunshine Law email guidelines. Vicky went in and, on the Sunshine Law, we had a discussion last meeting about it. About the email part of all of it, I guess. Did you all review the examples that she received from the Springfield Library and the Daniel Boone Library?
I
Is that
think,
policy feasible to add to ours to make it more, or are you, just comfortable with just going over the rules of what we, when
think-
you guys wanna discuss what you guys wrote up?
yeah, this Sunshine Law email guidelines that I just passed out, those are the ones you did, you and Adam.
Yeah,
Presented.
we did the new thing.
Right.
I don't know what other document we're referring to.
Well, that's under new business.
That's the only thing I know of is what we wrote. Is
Well,
there
we
another
have-
There
document?
was a meeting, there was an email that was sent out by Vicky that discussed what our current policy is on sunshine law.
Right,
And she also gave us examples of other libraries and entities. I think one of them was Camden County.
did that
No, I
have to do
couldn't
with
find
email
that.
or just?
No, that's just open meetings and
Okay.
Sunshine Law.
Yeah.
That is on the
Yeah,
new
okay.
business.
That's,
We're,
I thought I was missing something.
Yeah,
Yeah, we
yeah.
did something specific to email.
Yeah, I printed
I
out,
just, I haven't had a chance to read it.
Oh,
I printed out the one about the open meetings records and Sunshine Act policy. And I would propose a number of changes to it.
Well, we're doing this one now.
Okay, all right, we're not doing that one. All right.
Well, it's
confused too,
really
huh?
about the sunshine law, so, because I'm confused, because there's a document that was resolution adopted in 1209 that we already have on board
Uh-huh.
in the library.
Yeah. which
And
isn't-
so, and then the preface of the email that, somebody made up, you guys made up for the last presentation on the committee board email practices finding November 1st of 2023, which is a document I think you guys did for the last discussion.
Right.
And so how,
Now we have a newer document.
right,
Yeah.
so how are we gonna use this and then,
The previous one you can chuck, or just put it in drafts or put it in archives.
Or the previous one of ours, you mean,
Yes.
not the one from 2009.
that doesn't need to
The,
be,
the email one that we made, that we presented last can just go into archives. It's a draft. We presented it to you so that everybody could look at it and, give their input. And then this is as a result of further research and input
And discussions,
and
yeah.
discussions.
But it's
And
only
I think
applies to
the issue-
email.
I think
Just
the
applies to
issue
email.
is that, the way it's presented is it's open meeting records, the act itself, and the policy that we have. This is just one portion of it.
And it really
Right,
is
and
saying
so
we're not gonna.
The question
conduct-
then becomes, do we just discuss this and agree to this
Yeah.
as it relates to emails to the board? And then we also then take a look at the overall policy. Is that where you're coming from?
Yeah.
well, I mean, I
Two
think,
different
3 different papers, I think we need to
Right.
have an overall policy.
We-
Yes,
well, we
I
got
agree.
it.
We did, so we used all the material that
Well,
Vicky provided us and looking at policies, state and the library policies and,
if you want, Adam
This
and I
is-
could go back and
No,
put them all together.
We- we could-
Adam,
we could cite
Adam, this
this.
is, what Vicky sent out was the current policy as it relates to open records, how you
Yes.
go about handling open record requests and that type of thing.
Yes,
This is what you sent out, what you did on emails is just something that is a part of this and wasn't specifically addressed
addendum
as
to it.
part of the policy,
Mhm.
Could
okay?
be email
So,
guidelines within
you
that
know,
policy.
Right,
Yeah, I do like
it's
that.
just one part of
This
it.
is very, very good.
Okay.
Says it all.
Did you read through it? And
Yeah.
decide if it's.
Sure.
Yeah,
Okay. I guess I'll be the reader this time. It says, and I apologize, there probably ought to be a template for policies, you know, some kind of.
We do have one. We have a format.
Okay, I just don't have, okay. Maybe I
Whenever
can
we
get
get
that.
one approved, I'll change the
Oh,
format
then
and get
you-
it put into
then
our
you can
policy.
format
Yep.
it.
Mhm.
Excellent, okay. So it says the following rules represent the policy of the CCLD Board of Trustees regarding the use of email and any other form of digital communication. In general terms, board members use email only for informal communication and individual investigation. Specific details are as follows. 1, emails are communicated one-to-one for individual clarification, communication within a subcommittee with individual members for assigned tasks, provided the subcommittee, I bored this, does not constitute a quorum of members, and to establish items for the next planned meeting. 2, email must never be used to replace discussion in either open or closed meetings. 3, email can be used to submit agenda items to the board president, who determines their suitability for inclusion in a meeting. Number 4, no consensus may be sought via email with a quorum of board members. Some of this is a little redundant, but we're trying to be as specific as we can. Number 5, email or other digital communication may be sent to all board members under these conditions. And there are 2 conditions that we can send to all board members. 1, the board president may distribute informational material to all board members as long as no discussion ensues and no vote of a quorum of members is taken via email. All participants must make best effort to avoid implying, hinting, indicating, suggesting, intimating, insinuating, or inferring a vote. And 5.2, the library director or assistant director may distribute meeting agenda and related materials to a quorum of board members in preparation for the monthly meeting. Board members may not comment among the quorum regarding the distribution. So these are just informational outputs. And number 6, each member should be vigilant in helping members adhere to these guidelines. Final enforcement of this policy is the responsibility of the board president. In the event that this policy is violated, because that's going to happen from time to time, and an email is sent to a quorum of board members other than the conditions outlined in 5 above, it becomes subject to the public record and must be preserved by the custodian of records. So I think it's pretty simple and concise.
can you review number 2 of 5, please?
Number 2 of 5, the library director or assistant director, Vicky Graneman, may distribute meeting agenda and related materials to a quorum of board members in preparation for the monthly meeting. Board members may not comment among the quorum regarding the distribution.
What does that sentence mean?
It means we shouldn't have a discussion about it. The discussion of
If we
anything
do,
related to the open meeting happens in open meeting.
yeah. If we did have to discuss something, maybe we would have to include the custodian of record.
Well, I might have a question for Vicky about something she sent me. So I would just email Vicky. I wouldn't email the entire board.
Well, if I have a question and I'm deciding on something and I want to talk to Denise about it, I should be able to discuss it and talk to Denise about
And,
it.
and you can,
Not a
it's not,
quorum.
it's just
Not
to
a
the whole
quorum.
It's not
board,
a quorum.
right?
So,
You can have individual discussions through email.
Yeah, I mean, if we're creating a document, we should have some room to move in that and freedom to do that so we can put our wording together. It has to go to a vote It has to be read in public, just like this is.
Mhm.
So I think that two
And
people-
everything that's written in an email is part of the public record regardless of whatever it is.
Are
in
we
the
all,
email.
are we all
No, not
going
at all.
are we all
Sure,
going to
if
library?
it discusses anything about library business,
No, if I
It's
talk to,
requested.
if I talk to an individual and it's not a board decision, that's not part of the public record. It's not. It's only when the whole board talks about it. It's only when a quorum is present. That's how the open meeting law is written. It's only public record if it's among a quorum of members.
well, then all those emails that we had all the time then were,
Wrong.
not, then they don't need to be part of the record then. You can erase them all.
Well,
Oh,
no, the
no.
ones
No,
that, the ones that-
Sure.
No.
I mean, we're discussing, we're talking about,
the ones to the entire board are part of the public record because they're just like what would happen in an open
anything
meeting.
discussing, board content, library business in an email between one member, two members is still part of the record.
No, it's not to a quorum.
I'd like to see some documentation that says that.
It's what the law says. But yes, we can go look it up.
That would be good. I'd like to see that because I'm just thinking that, anything that's
If-
discussed by one member, two members,
If I
it's not a
have,
quorum, that's about library business should be sent to the custodian.
if I have a private meeting with John and it's not part of the public record, it's just two guys talking.
because it can't go past the majority, it can't go past anything without a majority, and you haven't groomed the board, you haven't talked to a quorum behind the scene, groomed the board to pass something.
And you haven't.
Two guys are
bypassed
talking,
open
trying to
discussion.
develop a document, trying to discuss resources, trying to find whatever you need to present to the board. But it has to go past the majority of a board, so it's not,
Yeah.
you have to have some room to work, to create something, it's, otherwise, we're doing it all right here. And then but if we do that, and we're talking to everybody on the board, now you have a perpetual meeting.
Mhm.
And so it just gets crazy, and we're gonna fill up a terabyte drive and nothing flat. Yeah, so I'm good with this. I'm good with this.
I think it's a very solid document.
Yeah, me too.
I do have a question. If we are going to approve this, do we want it to be approved as guidelines or do we want it as an email sunshine policy?
Policy.
Okay,
And what do you do with the resolution adopted 1209?
that has nothing to do with this. This is two separate things.
Yes.
This is just referring to emails only. That's how I understand
Kind
it.
of like an addendum to that policy.
Yeah, that's what I was getting ready to say. Can it not just be an addendum to that policy?
Sure.
As opposed to being a separate policy?
Correct.
To the resolution?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, to.
Or
yeah,
to the one-
The one that we currently
Oh,
have.
the,
Yeah,
Yeah,
is the
Oh,
That is the
2000,
resolution. That policy that I submitted is for approval.
so that 2009 is not a policy?
It's a resolution.
So
It's a
it's-
resolution.
Yeah, there's a difference, but no, there's not a lot of difference, but there is a difference. But the one that I sent in the packet under new business, that would be a policy that would do away with the resolution, because and that policy was just more or less kind of word for word from our,
And that
Mr. Turner.
policy, was that this one?
yes, that's under new
That's a
business. We'll
proposed
discuss
policy.
that, right?
so is that an agenda item for next meeting?
No, it's on,
is-
under new business.
No, oh, no, I meant for, agenda item for next meeting is to present, that last statement.
Or last statement?
The board members may not comment among the quorum regarding the distribution, and Vicky wanted to see some supporting documentation on that. Is that an agenda item for the next meeting?
Unless the board approves this.
Yeah,
Or are we just gonna approve this?
we can vote on it.
Okay.
Is there a motion to accept this as an addendum to the resolution adopted 1209?
I motion to accept it.
Is there a second?
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
I oppose.
Okay.
Until I have seen the other documentation.
Everybody else, yay?
Okay.
Anthony, John, yay?
Yep.
Okay. All right.
So it goes into order. I just wanna see it all written up to where we're gonna put it in the policy manual. And then are you gonna include the open meetings piece as well?
That's under new
New
business.
business, so we have to talk about that one yet.
But
So we're
it was
now,
mentioned in this discussion, that's why I asked.
yeah. Sorry.
Okay, so going on to the, Osage Beach Road radio building.
Right, I talked to Kevin from Affordable, and, the unit that's working over there is a 2016 unit. I didn't know exactly when it was, so it's a fairly new unit. The units were big because it was a radio station, which they do not need that much anymore. But Kevin feels that a smaller unit would actually cost more money because the ductwork would have to be changed. The unit that he quoted is oversized, yes.
Mhm.
His thoughts were, if the current unit that we have there now is doing the job, why change it? So Alan and Dave got up in the attic over there and looked at the ductwork and reported back and took pictures and told me it's a mess up there. I have pictures if you want to look at them. There's two runs of ductwork, but some of the ductwork is hard, solid metal ductwork. Some of it is flex ductwork that's all over the place. So that's kind of where we're at. Dave said that they could go up there and take all that ductwork out if we wanted to put one unit in there.
Could I actually go look at it?
Certainly, absolutely.
I dealt with a lot of that. I had to keep the server room cold. I was
It's
in the
just-
server room that I had to get cold. It
There's-
was overheating, and it was old buildings, and I had to, I won't tell you how I got it done.
Well, that's kind of
I
what
had
looks
to
like
do a lot of the work myself. I just
happens
had to go do
here.
some things because it wasn't funded.
Well, at this point, the unit is functional, okay?
Yeah,
It's meeting the needs of the building, so, it's not something we have to jump right into. Okay, so Adam, I think that would be great. As far as your corrugated ductwork or your metal ductwork, you have that in your home today. I mean, you've got your main runs and then your individual rooms then are handled with non-metal, so
Did they-
that's not unusual.
yes. Did they write up a proposal already? Did they write up a proposal for what for reducting?
No,
Did they write up a recommendation or anything like that?
no,
Okay,
that's just,
They're not recommending it.
I
I
just
just wanted
called
to-
and,
yeah.
yeah, he's,
I just want to stick my head in the open.
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Um,
the people that are talking about doing that are our folks.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or our maintenance folks.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
They could get up there and take it out, so if they wanted to use one unit.
So Kevin
A small
recommended that we just use the one unit, so we don't
He
change.
thinks
the
it'd be
ductwork.
less expensive to us to use a big unit
I mean,
instead of the small one, and to use the one that's there until it's no longer works for the entire building. That was his recommendation.
if there are some dampers they can just change to redirect as they need to use the one unit, I mean, that's, or plumb one thing over to another, that's all we really need to do. We don't need to rip all that out of there.
Good time of year to be getting up there.
Yeah, oh Lord, yes. I don't usually let the heat stop me, but it's getting harder.
Climbing around there, just getting ordered.
But Dave would be more than happy to meet you over there at some time to,
Why don't the two of you all go? Why don't you get with Dave and
Okay,
go over there?
Okay.
And, you all can share your experiences. your
can
joint
I get
experiences,
his
Make a
contact?
recommendation to us.
Do you have a number for him?
you can just reach him here and call
Okay,
and ask for Dave.
Okay.
And I will give him your contact information if that is okay.
yeah, please.
Okay.
Are you good with that?
But we're just putting it off more, so I guess so, to get a good decision made and, so.
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
I don't know why.
Well,
why not.
I'd like to get a look. Actual look, pictures don't do it for me.
Well, I don't know anything about it, so I mean, yeah, I just respect that I know Kevin, so I respect his diligence and due diligence in getting us the best deal, so if you feel like you need to go over and look at that with Dave, then do it.
Yeah.
Dave is very
Report back.
knowledgeable. He'll be able to, and as you are, so he'll be able to talk intelligently.
You just need to report back.
Okay.
And then,
Yeah, absolutely.
to move
I'll
forward
Write
is
something up, send it to you.
to the whole board.
Send it to you, you can send it to people.
No,
do that.
actually, that's the director. I don't,
Well, the fact is, unless we have the unit go down, it can be an item that's on the agenda. We just move it forward
yeah,
and keep it under old business, and you can make your report at the next board meeting.
exactly.
That's good.
It'd be better to have a little agility on it, not just throw money at it if we don't need to.
Right.
Yeah,
And
and
then-
sometimes when you put in oversized units, even though, you're trying to save money by not having to reduct, okay, you're really creating more, as much of a problem by having too much than not having enough. So I'd rather, have Adam take a look at it with his experience, and
I'll take a shot.
he and Dave can make a recommendation to us at the next
I
board
mean,
meeting.
maybe, yeah, if it's just to say, hey, we're on the right track. I
Two
just don't,
thousand and sixteen unit still should be in good shape without any problems.
Exactly. So then the other thing, just to follow up with the Lake Area Chamber, that Morgan Crenshaw, they were looking at trying to find a new building. But they decided that the building that they had, evidently they were gonna get new rents or new something, and they renegotiated to stay where they were. So I did talk with that. And then I'd like to know about the tower update.
I have nothing yet. I have not had the time. And so, actually, I will have some time when I get out of here today. I had no time to talk to Terry.
Can we
to Carrie.
expect a report then on the
Both.
as old business on
Well,
both the
I'll
next
make
meeting?
like
Okay,
1080 Osage, a report of both.
okay. And then, are we just gonna wait till we decide about the air conditioning to go ahead and paint and do the floors, or are we not gonna do any of that? Board have feelings on that, discussion on that?
Do we know if we're actually going to do some a makerspace or develop it, or are you just talking about?
I don't think that
Well,
decision.
what we're doing yet.
before we think about developing it, did we cancel?
Yes, I sent a letter.
Okay.
And he will be bringing the keys and the reserve funds here. When it expires December 31st.
All right.
But I did send him a
That's
letter.
with Jonas.
Yes, I called and followed and sent a letter too.
It's another thing, I guess, to put on old business. We just keep pushing it back. I'm not sure what decision has to be made in order to beef up that building. And is it, if we needed it for some reason in the winter time, is it capable to put out heat? And we're moving into that time of area, so I guess I'm more about getting ideas about how to do with this building versus either we use it or we make it to where we sell it. I just don't, it's been around since February. And it's great and it's good property and that kind of thing, but I just think we need to make some decisions on that part. And if the grant from IT is anything, that's why I asked Mark if he'd been over to look at that space to see what was even feasible, and then report it in his next,
Well, I think he was over
Right.
yesterday and looking to put the makerspace in the current library instead of trying to put it over in that building. That building, I think it needs a little bit more work than just, this is just my opinion from talking with Dave, needs a little bit more work than just floor and paint. I mean, it's damp in there. He's trying to figure out.
well, Dave
So-
wasn't happy that we bought that building in the first place.
No,
so-
that's not what he said. He said he thought we,
No, at the one meeting, he did talk about why we bought that building in the first place.
yes, he said he thought we got a good deal by buying that building, was his comment.
Hmm.
But, he's looking into things, trying to see what, like looking at the ductwork and return air vents and seeing if he can put a filter in there to try to, get some of the dampness out of the building, but it's damp in there. So until we kind of figure out something like that, I don't think you want to put
I didn't think.
new equipment in there right
Fine.
now until that's
Well, we
something's
haven't
done.
decided what
So
we
we're
want to
just-
do with that building yet.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
that's,
I know.
I mean,
Well, I
we
know.
bounce back and forth in many different directions, and I think Bill had made a good recommendation, and it's been a couple of meetings back, is we need to do like a business plan for that building, how it can be used, what are the costs associated with it? if we start putting, equipment and different things over here, is it gonna require, additional personnel? We haven't done any of that evaluation. So before we make those decisions, I think that evaluation needs to be done.
If there's a dampness issue, 3 freestanding inexpensive dehumidifiers.
Right, and there, I think that there's a humidifier on the HVAC unit too.
Understand that.
That,
But if it's not doing the job, we need to get that under
Right.
control or we're gonna get more damage.
and I think Dave is that's what he's looking at to find out what is going on.
Okay.
But that's something that you can also discuss
Yeah,
whenever
I
you
got
meet
it.
with him.
I'll try to get that all in a.
Well, and if
Would
it's
it-
hot
would
and it's
it-
not air conditioned, it's gonna be damp too. I mean, you're not running the air or anything else over there. It
We're
will be
running the
damp.
heat.
We're running the heat and
Yeah.
the air.
Oh,
The
my
system,
understanding was that we weren't.
the
running
system
those
is
at
on,
all.
it's just down low.
Yeah.
Would it be possible to have Mark go out with you and David and,
Include Mark. Yeah.
include
Yeah,
Mark?
Yeah.
And he could tell you what his needs are if we were gonna use it as
Yes.
makerspace.
Yes.
Because if he's just looking at it and saying, oh, I don't want to use it, well, why? What's
Yeah.
wrong with
Yeah.
it?
Well, what you're talking about doing is maybe making some modifications to that building, maybe taking down some walls, doing this and that. When you start doing that, then you've got to, factor that in, and we don't even know what that is, what
Yeah,
that
but
might be.
you have to
So,
get your opinion from Mark.
Well,
If you were gonna make it a makerspace, what does he need to do it?
well, it depends on
You know.
what part of the building you're gonna use for makerspace. Are you gonna have to move walls? I mean, what are you going to do with that building?
Well, see,
So,
he would be able to determine
how's he
that.
gonna determine that when we can't even tell him what we're gonna do with the
Well, we don't
interior of the
know,
building?
but this is something we're looking at. So if he goes in the building and he looks at it and says, if we remove this wall or move it this way, I could fit this in here, we could do this in this room. We could take this out, we could do this here. He could tell you how you could make it a makerspace. If it's not feasible, he'll tell you that too. But,
I mean, you talking about the air conditioning guy? Or
No.
you talking
No.
about our guy?
No, I'm talking
Our
about,
guy.
I'm talking about, oh, no,
Our
I'm talking about.
Our
I'm talking
IT
about
guy.
meeting with-
Our
Actually
IT
meeting
guy?
with
Okay.
Dave and Mark
All right,
and
Yeah.
get Mark's input on.
right.
Because I think it's just my limit, again, very limited understanding, but I look at this makerspace and there's issues with noise and with some separation. That building
it's really
is very
crowded in there, too.
adaptable to taking this and just expanding it with the, how do I say that? Taking this and compartmentalizing each of the
Functions, elements.
functions, yeah, that's the word.
Well, except that we weren't talking about using that whole building for that. There were some other recommendations that were made for utilizing that building.
Yeah.
So if you start doing that, then if you've got sound issues like you're talking about here, then you're talking about having to, do something with that. And so, and quite frankly, if you start moving walls and doing
Don't
different
want to
things,
do that.
that building is not ADA compliant. So you make that building, you can make a certain percent of your changes to a building without having to bring it up to ADA compliance. But if you go beyond a certain point, then you've got to replace, restrooms and sizes and doors and, all of those different things to make it ADA compliant. So those are all things that need to be factored into also,
Yeah.
just as a reminder.
Kind of like, I think it's a neat idea, but anything you do with that building is gonna increase costs, and you seem to be concerned about increasing costs.
Well, where we're spending it. I'm more concerned where we're spending it. If we needed to increase, I get that. If it's actually serving the community and where we're spending it. The makerspace does seem to draw a lot of folks.
Particularly from the school.
Yeah, well, you gotta keep in mind where the school is here in relationship to this building as compared to where the school is as it relates to, our public
Yes,
library in Osage Beach.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of those kinds of factors that, again, as we've talked about, that need to be taken into consideration, and I appreciate.
Having Mark there, having Mark and Dave, I think I could write up something pretty good from getting input from both of those guys.
Okay.
No, just I'm saying from that, just a report of what I got from that outing.
Absolutely.
That's all. That's
Looking-
not a business plan or anything
Right.
like that. Just a report. I think I can get a lot from these guys, write up a report, give it to you guys and y'all do what you.
Looking
It
forward to
could be kind of a gist of a business plan though, because you would have to factor in, well, if do I need to move an employee over there, what will
Yeah.
that cost?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
So I guess, is that enough discussion on the radio building? We can move forward and just put it on old business of the agenda for next time. Please, Vicky, thanks.
Yes,
So new business,
Old
oh,
business?
sorry, job description, I forgot, job description. So this is the final report. The only thing that is different on this job description is that I added education experience. And I took that, piece, it's in italics on the front part. If that's not the placement we need it, we can put it somewhere else, but, I took that directly from the job posting.
do we want that
Yeah,
part of the job posting in the job description?
okay. Maybe.
Yeah, I think it should be in the job description. Everyone I've seen has got the education in the job description.
Yeah, maybe reworded, because it shouldn't say the ideal candidate. It should say
Well, I
the-
could say the director candidate will,
It's not
No,
a candidate.
Or the
Not
director.
a,
This
not a
should say
candidate.
education.
well, that's why it's here. To, like I said, I
Yeah,
just
this is.
redid it.
Yeah,
So what do you want to change it?
just to the director will possess.
Yeah, but we don't even really, we're not even requiring that he have that. We're
It says a
requiring-
master's degree, library science degree preferred.
Well, to make your equivalency statement, you have to have that above, right? Like there's a standard, but we can do an equivalency to that standard.
Yeah, it's kind of like, it's too much wording, like
And
a,
then we could take.
Well, why don't you
that
say
out.
something like ideally the director will possess? And then
This is
go
the job
forward,
description
okay?
of the
And then
director.
you've got your equivalency statement, which is fine. You know, so that all you have to do is just change that.
you just take out the word candidate, basically.
Yeah.
So no ideal, no candidate, anything else?
You probably don't need at least
Well, you
5
could
years
say
of
the ideal
professional-
director, the ideal director, and just take candidate out.
Yeah, but, the director, this is the director's job description.
I know.
So,
He
you
might
know,
not be the
saying
ideal
he
director.
might not be.
That doesn't make him, what we're looking for is the ideal director. Whether we find him or not, it's a different story, or her, but that's who we're looking for.
So do we want ideal in or out?
I don't care if you take it down either way.
Yeah, I'd take it out.
But
Taking it out?
And then at the end where it says, you know,
The director may possess a master's degree.
Well, yeah, I think we want a master's degree and the library science degree is preferred.
Yeah, but we may not want that really, because we've opened up that equivalent experience is
yeah, so we
Okay.
could,
Yeah,
we
but I-
could take out degree preferred, because that looks more like, you're advertising for the job.
yeah.
And a bachelor's with business or finance, minor, and then just take out the rest of this, because that's,
But we have to have the equivalency, because the person may not have those things.
And we want 5 years of experience. We voted on that.
yeah.
Of library experience, working in a public library.
Again, it was
The-
desirable.
Oh,
But this is just the job description. It's not, like we're placing an ad. We already did that.
That's fine.
So
maybe-
all we have to do is write down what the education is.
So what would you suggest? Just read it how you want to
And,
put
and
it.
then, instead of experience, just take out, you know, at the top where it says education/experience, and just put education.
But we're not requiring these things.
But this is just the job description.
I know, but if we're not requiring
Mhm.
those things, it's not part of the job description.
That's on the job posting. That's directly from the job
I
posting.
know, but it's
Yeah.
not part of the job description. We might hire somebody who doesn't have that degree.
It
But you,
says
but
does
you
what-
countered that, Bill, with a statement of the equivalent.
Yeah.
That
and
equivalency
I
is
agree,
good.
but she wanted to strike that.
Yeah, no, I don't think it should be struck.
You don't think so?
No, I
No.
don't.
okay.
Then
We need to read
just, equivalency or equivalency of education and experience, but take out will be considered.
Yeah.
'Cause
right,
we're not
take that out. We're not
considering-
considering anything.
Yeah.
Okay, you're gonna have to read
Yeah.
it to me so I can make the changes.
Okay, how about the director will possess a master's degree, a bachelor's degree with a business or finance minor, at least 5 years of professional experience working in a public library.
Or equivalency of education
Or,
and
or
experience.
equivalency of education and experience. So just
Or
take
you
out
want
Yeah,
that as
just
separate,
use or,
or,
yeah.
or equivalency of education and experience
and,
will be
and take
Say
considered.
out,
will be
will be
considered out.
considered out.
Experience. All right.
And then can we approve this, assuming that Vicky will do it all right?
I might not.
Well, she'll need to send it out and then get, but you don't want to do that in an email, right? So it'll just be put on the agenda for the next one.
agenda, okay. All right,
Any other
It's
questions
under
or-
old business, why can't we approve it now?
and we can approve it now.
It's
The
under old
director will
business.
possess-
It's on
let me
the- it's
read
on
it.
the board.
The director will possess a master's degree, a bachelor's degree with a business or finance minor, and at least 5 years of professional experience working in a public library or equivalency of education and experience.
Correct,
Is that correct?
that is
Yeah.
correct.
All right. So you can approve it as amended.
Uh-huh.
And I make a motion that we accept the library director's job description as amended.
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
There you go, we got something off the table.
Can you read it one more time?
Sure. The director will possess a master's degree, a bachelor's degree with a business or finance minor, and at least 5 years of professional experience working in a public library or equivalency of education and experience.
Or equivalency?
Right.
Or,
Everyone, that's
Yeah.
good,
Yes,
okay.
yes.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay. All in favor?
we did that
We already
already.
did that.
yeah, we're there.
Okay. Sorry. Okay, so as we move on to new business. So the first thing on the docket is the new business, and I'm going to read the complaint that was made against me on October 20th of 23 by Jeff Thompson, who's a library aide that works in the circulation department here at the library, who I since have understood has decided to not stay at the library. Is that
He
correct?
retired, yes.
Okay,
At the library.
so the complaint is, on September 22nd at 2:30 PM, I answered a phone call at the front desk from CCLD Board President Vicky Simbro. She was wanting to speak to Interim Director Vicky Granneman, but I was told Ms. Simbro that Ms. Granneman was not available. She thanked me and ended the phone call. Within 5 minutes, she called back in an agitated state, demanding to know where Ms. Granneman was. I told her she was not in the building and had left for the day. She then demanded to speak to the PR Marketing Administrator, Coley Creech, or Branch Manager, Karen Colgan. She was informed that Ms. Creech and Ms. Colgan had also left for the day. At that point, Ms. Simbro was highly agitated and angry. "You mean to tell me you come into work and leave whenever you want to? Is that how it works around there?" she said to me. This is Jeff speaking, of course, remember. "I can't speak to that," I replied. Ms. Simbro then demanded to know who was running the library and that she needed to apparently post something to the library's website. I told her of the employee working that day, including IT Administrator Mark Massey. She ended the phone call. I then informed Ms. Colgan of the phone call and Ms. Simbro's inappropriate behavior. So, first of all, I want to thank Jeff for bringing this to my attention because the voice and inflection in my voice is always there. It's been an issue for me for 66 years. But I was absolutely thankful to him for bringing this to my attention because yes, I was concerned. And if I recall, I couldn't figure out why Vicky wasn't there on that Friday, first of all. So I know she had taken the Friday off before. And yes, I don't need to micromanage, but sometimes the concern for me came that when I called back, none of the upper management people were there. There was just one person left with two people in the witnesses, Gail Dugan and Cindy Coffey, whoever those people are, I don't know, was there. So I was just real concerned about who was in charge. What if something could happen in the library? Is this happen often? Is there a process of how many managers we leave off, let off all at once on a Friday afternoon? I just am grateful to him because it brought some questions up to me. Probably about within I don't know, half an hour, I heard from Karen Colgan. And she and I were talking about things and found out that she had a doctor's appointment and that she was off to do that. And then she had to also work on Saturday as well as working full-time through the whole week. So my questions to her were quite a bunch. I wanted to know about comp time. I wanted to know about how many people are off all at once. If this is such of a thing that they do. My concern is that leaving the library, I don't know, is everybody disasters or a disaster list in the library? Is everybody in charge and knows and are trained in the library? And frankly, according to this, I'm not sure why I got this. That wasn't taken care of by you, Vicky, to be quite honest. Because in the board of trustees, it talks about, you know, the director usually talks about this and takes care of these from the policy that I found in the book. Anyway, and as far as I can look at the harassment policy, I wasn't harassing. I was really surprised that there was no managers available in the library except for Mark. And I guess I questioned and probably was a little cantankerous with that about it's kind of an easy job, which leads me to a whole lot of other kinds of questions about time management, comp time, working 40 hours, overtime, and all these other kinds of questions. And then why were three of them off at the same time?
Well, Coley wasn't off. She worked 7 to 3.
She wasn't there.
You called it 3:30, I believe, after she had already gone.
I think that, I think the complaint
it was-
says,
Well, I think Coley
Well,
was,
hold on just a second. First off, you know, are we addressing the complaint itself or are we addressing policies? If you have some questions as it relate to policies, then I recommend that you get with Vicky and get your answers, okay? And if it's something that needs to be shared with the rest of the board, or if the rest of the board has concerns, then it can be shared with them. I don't think this is the time or the place to address that. Now, as it relates to the complaint itself, you know, there's a lot of things that went wrong with that, okay? I'm not gonna get into that, okay? On a one-on-one, that's just, some of it is my own personal opinion, and I'd rather stay away from that, okay? But anytime any board member has an issue as it relates to this library, they should be getting with the library director, you know, to resolve those issues. And at least from my perspective, I didn't hear anything that was an emergency situation that would have dictated anything other than that from a timely standpoint. So that's my comment on this as far as if anyone else has anything, sure.
My comment on this is, you know, when somebody's being harassed, it's multiple times over a period of time that you're harassing them. Our harassment policy doesn't say anything about somebody being a little agitated on the phone. Consists of objectionable or unwelcome conduct, whether verbal, physical, or visual, based upon protected characteristics such as race, color, religion, sex, age, pregnancy, national origin, ancestry, sexual orientation, physical or mental disability, status as a disabled veteran or veteran. Pardon me, I got some coffee grinds in my cup. You know, a veteran of the Vietnam era. Some examples of harassment are verbal harassment to such as derogatory comments, slurs, jokes, abusive language, or negative stereotyping, physical intimidation or threats, derogatory posters, calendars, cartoons, drawings, and pictures in any media format, including images on a video monitor.
I think what you just read makes it a valid complaint.
No,
Well, is
I
there,
don't think
is
so.
there,
Yes, if somebody is,
It's how it's
I guess I don't-
perceived,
I guess-
not how it's presented, it's how it's perceived on the other end. That's one of the things I didn't really want to get into here.
Right.
Okay, but if an individual perceives this as a physical or verbal threat, okay, again, it's how it's perceived, not how you intended it to be.
I don't think you want to just dismiss any kind of an employee complaint because.
Oh, no.
Well, what was the threat? There was no threat. I was
Well, you
asking
implied
about,
that the management had no business not being there.
well, there were
That's
three
not a
of
threat.
them, three of them
It's not a-
gone.
it's
That's
not a
not a
threat.
threat. I was
It's a-
inquiring why there
it's
were
an
no management
obnoxious
at the
statement.
library.
sure, well, it's,
It could have been taken and, you know, maybe the person who answered the telephone could have went ahead and said, you know, I'll just get back to the director and whatnot. And so forth. It did surprise me that there was nobody at the library. Three of the managers were gone. Made me question whether or not who was here at the library.
I kind of hear you, but at the same time, it's not unusual for managers to go out because one of the skills of a manager is to make sure that the people you leave behind are in a position to do the job.
And
You
as a
don't
new
have to
board,
be looking over their shoulder the whole
Well,
time.
apparently these people weren't able to do the job.
Why not?
Well, all he had to say was, I'm sorry, but I'll transfer your call to Mark. Did he do that? No.
I mean, customer relations 101, you get somebody that's a little heated on the phone, which is not a threat, which is
No.
people, you don't know, maybe that person just got run out in front of it, somebody with a black FJ.
I don't think
This isn't customer relation. This
But-
isn't customer relation.
Right.
This is the president of the board, period, okay? There's a completely different perspective than a customer, okay?
Okay.
This is your
listening.
boss's boss, okay? So keep that in mind, Adam.
I do,
You know,
I
you
do, I
work
do
for a
keep,
corporation.
okay, yes, so.
And-
Since I have the floor, I'm gonna,
Sure.
that's great, appreciate that, 'cause you got me back on track. So there may have been an issue of decorum here, possibly on both ends of, and so that should be addressed. I think that Vicky should get together and maybe with that person, or this is also a personnel matter, and I think should be closed session between them. And then if it needs to escalate to open session for actions or whatever, that's fine. But, I think, to me, what stands out, I'll tell you from personal experience, in past jobs, this would be, everyone would do, training on harassment. Everyone would do a training on customer relations, and those would be signed certificates that would go in their personnel folders so that we all understand that everybody's on the same page with that. And I do think that all that person had to do, if they had some customer service training, all they had to do was, is keep returning to, yes, I will take your information and get somebody to call you back immediately. And that's all that person had to say. I don't know that they were doing that. Is that what they were doing? And did they just say?
I never got any information that way.
Was there any kind of, how do I say this? Concern for the person on the other end of the phone, like, I'm gonna take care of you. That's customer service. I don't care if it's the president of the United States. That person calls, you say, okay, I'm gonna get my lead. And because I don't know the structure completely, so I'm gonna use the word lead. I'm gonna get my lead and I'm gonna, please give me your phone number. I'm gonna get a hold of my lead and get them to get back to you as soon as possible. And you just keep redirecting to that and reassure that person you care about them and get them calmed down a little bit.
Well, I kind of don't think
And even
Jeff
if they,
did
and
anything
even if they
that
won't
wrong.
calm down, you've done your job. And I don't think that job was done here. So that's all
I
I
don't
got.
think
Well,
so.
and as board president and being brand new to the library, it wouldn't astonish you to know that there's just 3 managers were gone. And Vicky was just off the week before. And not that that matters, but there must have been some concern because then Karen called me to discuss it. So we talked quite a bit about things going on in the library. And so,
But none of that has to do with the complaint.
Well, the complaint,
No,
It has-
that's a different issue.
no,
The
it all goes to the same thing. There was some concern from obviously him that, how did Karen know to call me?
Because he obviously took it upon himself, this bad customer service employee,
To
pass that
refer it
on
to
to
somebody.
someone who had responsibility to, to take it to the next step. So I'm sure that's probably.
And
how
it
the
really isn't very
conversation went.
funny with your inflection of this
No, yeah,
bad
that's fine. No,
customer
I
service.
don't-
No, that's where it
appreciate
came
that.
from. I mean,
I
that's,
appreciate
I mean,
that. I appreciate, thank
yeah,
you,
you're
thank
welcome.
you.
You know, I
Sometimes
just,
you gotta put it-
you
And
know,
I didn't, I wasn't there for the situation.
Right,
Right.
What I'm
that's right. you
saying
were.
is I'm
None of you
applying,
were.
I'm applying all the aspects, trying to apply facets to this. So the information was taken,
Yeah,
you know, and
I don't think the employee was difficult or anything.
Quite frankly, I'm not sure this is, I mean, I think the fact that the employee has retired, somewhat negates this,
Mhm.
okay, complaint. As far as issues surrounding it, I've already made a recommendation that the president of the board get with the director and, discuss some of the issues of concern. And as far as continuing to address this, I think it's a moot point.
Right.
But if y'all want to continue doing it, that's fine.
Well,
no,
I
I
would-
expressed what I wanted to. I
Yeah.
wanted to get all the facets of this out here.
Right.
And I understand what you're saying. Absolutely. I don't mean to put the guy the person in a lens of being disreputable. But those are the aspects that have to be looked at. Are they looked at? Have those things been looked at?
Yeah.
And
all of those, all of that can be done in a conversation.
Are people
Well-
equipped? My concern is staff equipped to deal with somebody that has had a bad day?
Different issue.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
That's where I'm at.
there is also something that the board needs to address, and that is policy. We don't have a policy that, we have like a continuing of government kind of thing. There's a hierarchy. 3 of the top people were out. We don't have a policy stating that when people are asking for time off, that somebody who is in charge will make sure that everything is covered. So that you don't have this in the future where there's gonna be a whole bunch of supervisors out.
I'm not sure that that's the issue, because
That
everything,
isn't it. That
everything about the job was covered.
Well,
It's just
what
that
would
the
it-
people
what
that
would
she
he
wanted
have-
to talk to weren't.
No,
here.
I'm not talking about harassment right now.
Yeah.
I'm just talking about policy.
I am talking
strictly
about
policy.
policy. It's,
I read through the procedure manual
yeah,
and there was
which
no.
procedure manual?
this-
Hours?
Hours.
Okay.
There is no procedure for how to handle, when there's like 3 or more, or 4 people,
Right.
sure, there's if somebody's sick and they're in the hospital, then
mean,
this one's in charge.
I've
Then
worked
We
this
have a
for-
one's in charge.
succession plan.
Yeah, it
I've
is.
worked for a big organization where especially the
you
top
know-
3 people will be gone at the same time, because they're
this
the
is a
management.
library. This is not a big organization, Bill.
It's-
You
it's
always
something's
refer
involved,
to.
though.
Quite a
Something's
large
involved.
I agree.
organization.
So I'm
Yeah,
sorry if
well,
I was surprised that there were 3 of everybody gone on Friday.
I'm not,
And
And you heard my voice today, it probably is exactly how it sounded then.
right.
Which is scary.
but we,
Come
but we
on.
don't have a policy that
We don't.
addresses
You know, here
that.
again, guys, I mean, again, I
We
mean,
do
if,
need a
if,
policy.
I'm
if there's some
done with this.
policy
And they
concerns
will
here,
go back
Nothing
to,
about the operation of
they'll
the library
go
was
back to
compromised.
customer
We don't
service,
know.
policy, how to handle
It's a
Yes,
small
it happened.
organization.
Yeah.
Okay, never
let's
mind.
just move on.
Vicki, can the 2 of you all get together and try to address some of these
I think
issues?
I think you addressed the fact that he's no longer part of the library board.
I'm not talking about him.
business.
I'm not talking about him.
No,
You
future.
appeared and Denise appears to have some concerns about some
I
policies.
did have
So-
concerns.
Okay, so then why don't the 2 of you, as president of the board and as the director, get down together and start talking
Absolutely.
about some of the things that you consider to be
Well,
issues.
and as
And then
Brad-
if you feel like that there are things that need to be brought to the board at a later date, then do it.
Well, I'm just saying, as president of the board and responsible in a sense for the library, to find out there are 3 people gone was just a little bit concerning to me.
Well, it's
That's
concerning to
all.
you, but you are one board member out of
That's right.
5,
I am.
okay?
I'm-
And the fact is that as president of the board, you know, you're still just one vote.
I am just one vote. That's
Okay.
correct.
You know, I'd just like to express.
But I
I'm
also
glad-
think
I'm glad
customer
we-
service needs to be done in this and for lots of reasons.
Well, it's your
I just-
opinion.
I just want to say I'm glad that this got expressed, that got dealt with in the public eye. And I think we've looked at all facets of it, and I think that a meeting of the director and the president would be good, maybe Denise too. I don't know what's needed there, but to look at policy, bring stuff to the board.
Yeah.
In an organized manner, not trying to hash it all out right now, because it's too.
You know,
that's big.
if Jeff didn't bring this to our attention, we as a board wouldn't know about this.
Yeah.
And we wouldn't know that there are shortcomings in our policies. And so the policies really do have to be addressed. It has
Yeah.
nothing to do with he said, she said. It's just the way that the library is running. And, you know,
Well,
I think agenda items need to be made, break this thing down into a smaller
Yeah.
task
mhm,
instead of letting this thing snowball.
I think
right,
that we
right.
have procedures in place, and I think that you and Vicky and I can discuss that. We do have procedures in place to make sure that we have coverage, and if there's ever an emergency, there's a plan. We have a disaster plan. And
Yeah.
there may not be a policy, but we do have procedures in place for that.
Now, let's say that somebody comes into the library and there's no management available. Wait a minute.
Okay,
And they have a heart attack. Do the people in the library know what to do?
absolutely. We've had people fall down. We've had people, they absolutely know how to handle any
Are they-
disaster.
are
The front desk people are the people who will take care
Are
of
they
that.
trained?
Absolutely, the first thing they would do is make the call. The second thing they would do is call back here and let somebody back here know. But yes,
But what if there is nobody back here?
there's somebody back here we have our shifts are staggered so that there is somebody back here. If there need to be somebody back here, we're not the ones that's gonna call the ambulance and take care of those people up front. They're the front line of all the people that come in here, all the patrons, everything that happens. That front desk staff, they are the front line people. They are trained to take care of that. Not only here, but at our other branches as well.
Again, I'd like to see is, the two parties, the director and the president get together over a cup of coffee, go through policies, we're trying to resolve it now, or we're trying to make something happen now. These need to be bullet points on an agenda that we address if there are policy changes, or state, hey, we understand the policy, we're gonna move forward with this. Those need to be bullet points for an agenda that need to be created, I think, by the president and the director.
Well, and
Rather than going on with this, and because we've got other stuff on the agenda that we've got to get through.
that's fine, and I agree with that, but I will make one more question about that. I am concerned about customer service because I have been talking to people at the grocery store and have heard some unpleasant experiences. Not at this library, but at Osage Beach Library, and trying to get specific books that they aren't able to get, not helpful. So I am talking to the people outside. So I don't think that requiring a customer service training that costs anybody nothing but a little time on their schedule to go through and have a certificate done is a bad thing for everybody.
And we've done that in-
Since this has been brought to your attention, let me ask you, have you taken those particular instances where they have shared with you? Have you shared that with the library director?
No,
Okay.
Yeah.
Don't you think you should if you have those concerns?
well, it's a customer service issue. I
Well, it
mean,
is a customer service issue, but if you're hearing it as president of the board and it concerns you so much, shouldn't it be something that you should be sharing with the director so that someone can take a look at it? So you understand both sides of an
I
issue?
think I have said something to you about those things.
You said that
actually.
you were gonna mention customer service today.
Yeah, so I think I had mentioned it. Okay, so we move on with the agenda. Meetings, records, and the Sunshine Act policy.
This is just something I found.
So that's this thing.
Yes, that's just something I had found that had not made it through the approval process yet, so I just thought I would bring it to the board for your review and revisions and recommendations. Because we learned we should have one
Okay.
after Mr. Turner was in.
We might want to kick this down to a committee, but I did have a thought about it, if I could share that. You know, I've been on a board in Lynn Creek, and I've observed what happens in Camden County and now what we do. And a very common way of announcing these public meetings is to post a little notice on the front door. And certainly the whole community doesn't see the little notice on the front door. It seems to me it would be a great way to do this, would be to make the agenda into something like a WordPress blog. And you could send it out to people could subscribe to it. Anybody who is interested in the library could then have a subscription. They could get it in their email so that they know there's a meeting coming up. After the meeting happens, they could even get the meeting notes, or could be posted as a WordPress blog. And by doing that, we could expand the scope of who is aware of the library. We could make it something that's truly county-wide instead of just those particular people who are walking past the door.
It's on the website. It is on the
I
website, but
know.
it's not in a blog form, but it is on the
But
website.
it should be possible to subscribe. I mean,
Absolutely,
I
we can do
run a
that.
newsletter that has, a couple of hundred people on it now, and they can subscribe, they can unsubscribe, they can forward it to a friend and say, hey, this is interesting news. Do you want to know about this? And it makes it so it's all digitized, all automated. We could subscribe to the blog, so you don't have to send us the
I still
agenda.
have to send it to you.
But you know what I mean? It's a
Well,
way of
it's
expanding our
already on
scope.
Facebook, and it's already on our library website.
Right.
I
as
know
well,
so
both of
many
them.
people who have gotten off of
I asked
Facebook,
to have that done this week.
and people who don't want to look at the library website. I didn't even really pay any attention to it until I got this board.
I don't know if the website go to the app, so it's on the app as well.
Well, I spoke with Coley about putting it on the app, and that's not going to right now, we don't have any way to do that. We can put a notification on there, but once you pull the app up, the notification will come up. You dismiss the notification, it won't come back up again.
Well, and you could also place it on Citizens for Camden County. You could also, that's a Facebook page as well.
But it's so easy to make it just a subscribable link.
We would only be able to send out asking people to subscribe. Well, I guess we could send that through
You could post that to all of those different.
to our
sites you're
social
talking
media
about.
and get them, see if people want to subscribe, because we do have blogs, a couple of newsletters that we do now. I don't know if you subscribe to them now or not, but we do
How
have
would
some.
they even know that they were there? One way, you could let them know that you have this blog that has all this information. You'd
Sure.
have to do like a one-time mailing to everybody in the county.
Post it to Lake Area Happenings. If you're interested in what's happening with the Camden County Library, click this link.
Not
To
everybody's
subscribe.
on that.
No,
No.
I understand,
Okay.
but
Nor are
the
they on the
more,
blog, nor are they on our website, nor are they
Yeah.
on our Facebook.
but eventually, if
And-
you reach a tipping point, where people will let their friends know. It's kind of like Les.
Well,
He posted through his Republican club that this meeting was taking place.
Yeah, our Facebook posts get shared quite
Right,
often.
yes,
Well,
but we
you
should
don't
make it
realize-
subscribable. Otherwise, it's an accident when people find it.
What you don't realize is a lot of people don't even have access to the internet.
Yeah.
So how are you gonna let them know when the
I'm
library
not saying,
is
I'm not
giving
saying
a
we
meeting?
stop posted on the door. I'm saying that doing it through a blog post is much more expansive than just posting a notice on the door.
I don't go on any, other than our email.
I
that we
don't
use
walk
here.
past this door. And there's lots of people who don't walk past this
Yeah,
door.
but I don't subscribe to blogs, I don't go on
Then you don't have to.
Instagram or Facebook or.
You're on the board, you
anything.
don't have to subscribe.
And
No,
the,
but it's a matter of personal choice, and there are a
Yes.
lot of people that choose not to participate, so how would they even know what's going on at the library? They wouldn't know.
And they don't know now, and that's why the library caters to a very small percentage of Camden County people.
It's a public issue, not just for the library, but for a whole lot of everything in Camden County.
Absolutely.
you-
So
you
the more
have-
expansive
you
we
have-
can be, the better.
You have all these people in Camden County that are paying salaries to the library.
Yes.
So, you know, maybe once every quarter or every 6 months, there could be a mailing sent
We're-
out. You know,
And it goes
mass
back
mailing.
Yeah, you don't wanna do it.
I
physically.
never-
No, there's
I
a
know.
cost to that.
Yeah,
Well, it goes back to being ambassador for the library, which is part of the trustee positions that everybody has here, which I suggested at the last meeting, if anybody recalls, about going to the different clubs and saying, hello, how are you? You know, and talk about the library. And I don't know that that's being done.
It was being done, but
we
it
were
is,
just invited to one,
That's the first.
right?
well, it might be a first for, well, this board, but we've had that happen
happened
before,
before, yeah.
right, yes.
I'm just saying,
It's
the
just a
more,
thought.
the more sources, the more
The more
places we
formats,
place
more ways we
our
put them out.
stuff, the more likely people are to be able to make that choice.
It's a high quality for the new director to come in and get a public persona, because that's probably the problem is the
Yeah.
public persona.
Yeah, and the
That's all it
WordPress blog, if that was the approach, is free. It doesn't cost anything.
Well, even if it doesn't cost anything, a lot of people, like I told you, don't have access to the internet.
I know, but a
And you
lot,
go out into the rural spaces, I don't know if you visited any of those libraries, those people are rural, they don't have access to
It
the
is
internet. like
interesting
everybody
fact that I was talking with Vicky one day, that it's in these outlying areas that they use the internet less, even at the library.
else. Right,
Can't do much about that. They choose to be out there in the country.
yeah, but then you have to contact them somehow, you can't just say,
Well,
oh.
posting it on the door isn't doing it, you know?
Can we get back to the task at hand on this open meetings records and Sunshine Act policy?
Yeah,
Are
that-
you going to incorporate this with the other Sunshine policy and have it all put together?
we would have to take this and merge it with that 2009 resolution.
Or look it over and put it together somehow to put it all together as another
Or
amendment?
this would replace
Would
that
replace.
resolution.
Well,
I
there
think
might-
that was the intent.
Yeah, there might be
Was that this
something
would
in that
replace it.
resolution that's not in here, so some kind of a merging, replacing.
Yeah.
Maybe we should just
I thought it was just
table
gonna be an
this to
addendum.
next time.
No, that was
No,
the
that
email,
was
was an addendum.
That was. the
Oh, the email, oh, what is, I'm
This
sorry.
is the whole sunshine.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes.
Yes,
I tell you what,
I-
based on everything that I saw that Vicky sent out, this is probably the most detailed, and probably meets the, Secretary of State,
yes, or
uh,
Attorney General.
Attorney General's,
Sorry.
requirements, shares more information about that than any document that Vicky, presented to us. So as a matter of fact, it's probably, more detailed than it has to be. But it certainly provides all the information. I didn't see where anything was left off, so.
And
Yeah, it looks like the same thing that Daniel Boone Regional Library has on theirs. It's the same exact document.
Yeah, so.
the only
So-
thing I think about that is, I agree with you, but I think we're missing an opportunity by just posting an agenda on the door.
It's on a website too.
Okay, even that. Like I said, most websites are funny things, because I maintain a few of them, and people just generally speaking don't go to websites, they go to Facebook.
One of the problems that you have, Bill, is if you get so detailed, okay, that you put, it must go here, 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 here. And if for some reason you fail to do that, by accident one month or whatever, you create a problem. So if you can use more of a generic term of
Yeah,
posting,
I would
Okay,
say
with
something
the
like,
intent
and
of
also
doing
post
something
it
else.
electronically
Okay.
so that people
Yeah.
can subscribe.
So I could put website
just
and,
posting, it doesn't have to be electronic gets Facebook and all of that other kind of stuff. And that terminology includes what you're talking about, does it not?
Facebook does not.
No, I'm not talking about Facebook. I'm talking about the term electronic posting.
Yeah,
Does that not also include what you're talking about?
the only thing that's missing from that is the ability for somebody to subscribe so that they're always notified. And I
But
think
that's
that's,
just one more
I think
phase
that's the
of it.
value.
It still falls under the same category of electronic posting, does it not?
can the audience say something?
Well-
Just for matter of record, the current agenda is not on the website for today, just for updating.
Right, thank you.
Should be.
It
It was on there.
Wednesday and Thursday.
Yeah, it was on there.
It's
I don't know why it's not on there now, but it was
Right
posted.
now, it's not.
In any case,
Did you look at the calendar? Are you looking at the calendar?
It's on the list of CCLD Board of Trustees agendas. The special meeting is on there, but this today's meeting is not.
Okay.
posted it.
That
We'll find
sounds
out
good.
why.
I will,
Yeah,
I will absolutely find out why.
I ran into this, my first, meeting here, I ran into the same issue where I did not see the meeting posted on the calendar and then it was there. And I don't know how I missed,
Yeah.
gosh, I looked and looked and looked. And
I experienced that. It has to do with something in the calendar that's a little quirky.
Yeah, I mean, and so when they said it was there, I said, okay.
Well, if we've got a
More
quirk there, we
coffee.
need to figure out how to eliminate the quirk.
Quirky?
Yeah, unquirk.
Absolutely.
If you're, to move on back to this open to meetings, since I think we're getting a little off kilter here. Would you also add to anything that we make policy of revised and?
They all are.
Done?
Yes, and they're being done right now?
They're being redone and.
Yes,
redone.
and I'm just about got that project
I
completed.
just want, I just wanted to make sure that we're talking about that as well. Okay. Any other
Yes.
questions on the opening meetings record of the Sunshine Act policy of making this part of our Camden County?
Well,
piece?
I would like to revise it some before we do that.
Since we already have a somewhat of a resolution, which is a little somewhat like a policy, we've already got that. I think we meet the requirements of the Attorney General, okay, as far as having that. I think we've got time to do that. It's not something that we, don't have.
We don't have to do
Take a
anything
look at
urgent,
it. So it doesn't have to be approved today. So if you want the time to do that, Bill, go. I think we can
Put it on there,
push this off.
put it on the old business.
Yeah.
Okay,
We're just pushing everything off. That's good.
Well,
That's okay.
that's fine.
That's what you guys want to do.
well, the problem is that if we were to get this stuff, 2 weeks in advance, okay, then we would have time to do it. If we don't, then, it makes it difficult if we've got other things in our lives, to be able to be prepared to do this. So
Which is
I don't
all
have a
in
problem
regards
with pushing some of this stuff off.
of my email. I discussed that before. So
Right,
that's
yeah.
all the same.
Yeah.
Okay, so moving on then. So are you gonna just work on the open meetings then, Bill?
Yes, I will.
And then at old business to review next time?
Mhm.
And will you incorporate the other two documents as well?
The
And all
other
together.
one
The
document,
other one document,
the 2009
nine
resolution.
resolution.
Well, it kind of all goes together with the Sunshine email, the Sunshine Act, it all kind of goes together.
Yeah, the
does it
email
not?
we decided was an addendum.
To the 2009 resolution.
Yeah,
Right, the resolution, I mean, what has been proposed is a replacement of the resolution. So if Bill wants to take the time to compare the two documents, make recommendations to the new document, then that resolution will go away once the policy has been set. That new policy, based on what we did today, should include the email portion,
so should I
correct?
add the addendum then?
Well, that's what she was asking you to do.
I can do
I
that.
thought.
I can do that.
What
I'll
are
do
we
that.
doing?
Isn't that what you asked for, Vicky?
Well, I think that's what I did, but
I thought that's what I
obviously you
thought I
explained it
heard.
so much better,
Okay,
so it's okay.
add the email addendum. Okay, we'll do.
Sorry.
No, it's okay.
So we're not gonna approve it to add to the 2009 resolution we did, and then you're gonna include that in the,
Right.
okay, got it. All right.
Policy, the policy will replace the resolution.
Right.
Okay.
I'm sorry if I'm not making myself explainable. Okay, so moving on to the director criteria. The only thing I want to say about that is, I don't even know that needs to be discussed. Everybody has their own,
I agree.
everybody has their own criteria. And their own criteria will be used as an individual person using their own criteria to find our director. And so that's not something I don't think that needs to be shared. Every board member has their thoughts on their own criteria.
I'd like to say, I don't want, prepared responses. I want real responses, immediate at the interview. I don't want prepared
We're
responses.
not talking about the interview questions,
We're
we're talking
not,
about
but the
criteria.
criteria will bring up questions and I want, I don't want
We're
prepared
in kind of
responses.
a-
That's my concern.
We're in kind of a funny place, because in a perfect world, we'd have a board-decided criteria for screening all the applicants that are coming in. Instead, we're kind of going into closed session and we're kind of eyeballing them and saying we like these and don't like these kind of thing. So we don't really, I guess we each individually have our own criteria.
We do.
Right.
But in a perfect world, we should have a board
No, and if,
Codified
what you're
criteria.
talking about is everybody marching lockstep.
We
and
have a
that's
job
not the way it
description.
works.
We,
Yeah, we have a job description
Yeah.
that does that.
No,
not really.
no, so this is my
But
understanding.
I think we're so far down the road, we just have to do without the criteria.
No, the criteria is each individual's personal idea of what they want to see in a director.
Yeah.
Stop. The interview questions are something that the board does decide on to have the same questions asked to each applicant as a altogether, and we'll decide on those questions in closed session.
we don't need that in closed session. I think that can be.
But that's fine, but in any case, that's what we'll all come together on and have the same things for each and every one. But the criteria, yours is gonna be different than mine is gonna be different than Denise's, and that's all. So the questions are based on, and their answers are gonna either fit my criteria, or they won't fit my criteria, or they'll fit your criteria, as et cetera.
Right.
I agree.
That's how
I
I'm
think-
looking at that whole
I think
piece.
that's what I meant by we're kind of down that path. All right.
Okay, any more questions on the director criteria? We'll move on to new patron print stations.
Yes, you gotten my FYI about the patron print stations, and if we want to replace them, they are,
I didn't know what they were. So-
those are copiers, are at
They're
their
kind of a
patron,
specialized.
Yes,
printer,
they
aren't
are.
They're made so that
you can
people
print,
can bring their own device in and print to it.
well, yes and no.
Yeah.
That's, right now, we're having a little issue, Mark is having a little issue with Cassie, which is our time management system, and we are trying to working out some of the bugs from printing from your own device.
Uh-huh.
This is for, patrons can walk in and make a print, or they can print from, our computers.
It's like an extremely expensive printer.
Actually, they're not very expensive in comparison to what we paid in
No.
2016 when we got them.
Okay, this is what goes back to that budget item
Right.
that I was talking about earlier.
It's not on the
We
budget.
addressed-
We did not
it's not
budget
on
for
the
it.
budget. Is any of this going to be covered by grant money?
If we want to wait until the spring to see if Mark can apply for a grant, what that will do, he can try it, but to apply for a grant for these two. Then that sets back his technology plan for replacing
Mhm.
patron computers. So it's really up to you.
We have to lose something.
Can we get these on Black Friday from anybody else?
We do have a couple of other from them, from GFI are these. I just don't think that I'm not saying that they aren't expensive. I was just surprised that they hadn't increased in price.
Well,
Our
So-
copy income from 2016 to the end of this month
uh,
for the same period of time that we've had these printers is $89,000
That's what our income is from it, huh?
from
From
2016
I was gonna say, you didn't tell me
to,
that much over the phone. You
but
said
I
something
just looked it up before I,
Okay,
And have
okay.
we spent that $89,000?
the total
already?
expenses, including the cost of the machines and the maintenance service contract is $37,319, is an average of $2,247 per year.
And what have we done with this $89,000?
That goes into our general revenue. We don't,
Did we spend it already?
well, that was for,
That was for
that's for
years.
total.
General revenue.
Yeah,
From 1960, I mean.
Okay.
From
2016,
2016
so-
through the end of,
Yeah.
yeah. So
Is it-
my point is, we have a good copy business.
Mhm.
We do a lot of copies. People come in here a lot to make copies.
And it automates it. It's like they somehow can make their copy on this machine and it automates the billing. Is that part of it?
Automates the billing.
And it's more than a copier, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, well, yes, it's a print station, but it has a coin op, so they will come in,
Uh-huh,
that they print from the computer.
yeah.
They tell their time management system that, hey, I want to print this. They go to the printer, bring that screen up, enter the information, put their money in and
Yeah.
pay.
So it
Yes.
automates
You know,
the billing.
I'll tell you, it's a blessing for the public The only reason my printer hasn't gone in the lake is I wouldn't do that to the fish. It's a real blessing having that service here, even if we were losing money on it, the taxpayers are paying for that. And there are so many people who don't have the ability to fax, copy, print, do those things. And I'm right on the edge of that because my printer is, I should replace it probably, but especially since I'm doing this now. But I'm trying to keep it alive. But anyway, I can appreciate that service.
You still didn't answer.
I'm sorry, what was
What are we spending that $89,000 on?
that money went into our general fund.
Just a gen-
Keep
over
it
the
alive.
It
years.
went to the general.
We don't keep track of, okay, our copy money buys this or our,
So
Okay.
if we
Okay.
don't
But
buy
we
one of these
only
printers,
have-
we lose revenue.
For the next, for
Absolutely, and
this month and next month, we have $13,634
no, right.
in the
We
budget.
do not have that in this year's budget or next year's budget. We would have to make a budget adjustment or decide that, yes, we have money to buy this and purchase these machines. If one of these machines go down and we are out of our maintenance contract, it's going to be hefty to, get them repaired, if we can get them repaired. Like, we just had it, like I said, in the FYI, we just had one repaired and the technician said he had a hard time finding the part. So when the parts and our maintenance contract does not support this anymore, we're down.
Can you lease these?
Oh, yeah, but it's a lot more expensive. You pay, you pay every month.
And what you told me, Vicky, was it was $8,000 that we just made this year, so far this year on the copies. Is that what you told me?
That was the figure I had looked up. If you check the report, it'll tell you how much exactly to date we have year to date. Let me see if I can find my,
And you said and the guys who repair it, that's always good, and we haven't had to. we
No,
don't pay
they're-
For the print ink that comes back in,
no,
that's all part of the contract that you have.
right, but you have to
correct?
pay a certain amount per month for the maintenance
That's,
contract.
$94.
Right.
Yeah,
and change.
yeah.
And that includes, the cartridges and then all the maintenance parts and repairs.
And these are on their last leg, is what you're saying?
I'm not saying they're on their last leg. I'm saying that they're not going to be able to support them anymore.
And when is that time up? Now?
Next time it breaks.
Yeah, next
Yeah.
time, yeah, exactly. Next time it
Next
breaks.
time.
When you get the
That's
phone call,
fine.
they say, we can't help you with that.
Yeah, I have no problems with that.
But yes, we would have to take the money. I'm gonna say this because whenever I say that we don't have, we need to make a budget adjustment, that doesn't mean that we have to take the money out of reserves. Because we have so much money in our money market, and I believe that we are going to have income over expenses again this year. So it's not going to touch our $1.2 million CDs that we have invested to buy these two machines.
And while we don't know what the next 2 months will bring, we know about where we are as far as being under budget right now. So, I mean, if you can look at things like building and grounds where we're 27% of the budget, $32,000 budgeted versus 8.6 thousand in actual expenses. So there are overages in some areas, unders in a lot of others. We've got the money there. This is, do we wait until this thing falls apart and then not be able to, provide this service to our customers? We have to wait until we can order it and do all this other kind of stuff, or do we take a proactive position? And I think that's probably where we should be with this particular piece of equipment or this particular
Do they
service.
take the old one back?
Yes.
And
I don't know
sell it?
what-
It's not like that we pay for it and then somebody else can get it, or do they, like refrigerators? They
Right.
Bring the new one in and they take the old
I
one
would hope
out?
that they would take it and dispose of it for us.
Yeah. The fact that they're probably not gonna get much for it if already
They
the
probably charge
technology
you
is.
They probably
Yeah.
charge you to dispose of it for you.
Yeah.
Because it's gonna get broke down and everything's gonna go to recyclables to where they can. There's all kinds of regulations to
But they
that.
take care of that. It's not
Hazmat.
something we
Take
have
care of
to,
that,
we
yes,
have additional expense to do.
Yes.
So, which of our areas is gonna donate money to those?
Do we have a net overage for the 2023 budget so far?
Yeah,
300.
13.
No, the total is, Our, we are, on our total expenses, we are $329,937 under our budget.
But we still have 2 months.
But we still have 2 months, right?
Denise, we can take it from account 6340, building and ground maintenance and repair. With $23,000 in the budget.
6340.
Don't do anything to maintain the building for 2 months.
Yeah, no. Well, we still gonna have some money left over. We'll have
Yes.
$21,000
But before you
left.
start taking it from building and maintenance, they also, the building and maintenance department wants to buy a van.
Yep,
That's
well,
vehicle expense.
Yeah.
We don't have the money in there either.
nope.
No, so that would have to come from building and maintenance.
Well, fine, we'll take it
So-
from there too. Then that'll only leave,
13,000?
$13,000 left for 2 months. And we've
Well,
only,
that-
and
that's
for the
what I
first
sh-
10 months, we've
That's
only
what I
spent
show here.
8.5 thousand, so we should have a lot of money left over there.
And I think we need to show some respect because, you guys are probably more familiar with the budgets and stuff, and John, especially you, and where all the rest of us are just learning, so I respect all the questions, so I just don't want someone. to
She's
feel-
asking where we're gonna put it. I mean, where
That's
we're gonna
right,
take it
and I
from,
appreciate you
okay?
saying it, but you're
So
much
that's
more
a place,
familiar with
if
it
you
than the
feel like
rest of
you have
us.
to take it from someplace, take it from there. I mean, if you have to have an answer to that question, then there it is.
Well, I think it just helps everybody get
And-
acclimated to where all the money's going and what we have and where and where.
I
and-
appreciate that.
So, I mean, I just,
It's not uncommon for things like this to pop up, just to give it the new board members a heads up. It really isn't.
Is there, okay.
that's
so
fine,
question-
Vicky, but we're
so-
just asking
No,
questions.
I understand that. I'm just saying it's not uncommon for, things to break and as you know, just kind of like at home.
I may be out of line with this, or maybe I'm off on the wrong track, but, so the board's informed about it. It's not a red flag issue. We're not adding, some comfort item or something. These are legitimate things that the library operates with. We're notified. Are we micromanaging this?
Well,
I'm just asking.
The director-
I feel like it.
the director's amount, I mean, if the director could actually purchase this, based on the amount that they have, it's what, $15,000?
20.
$20,000, they
Yeah.
could do it themselves. But I think it's common, anytime you have a sizable amount like this, is to keep you all informed.
Yeah,
But yes, in fact, the director has the authority to purchase.
Okay, I'm confused. Okay, you're saying it's $20,000 and as you have here, we can purchase the 2 updated models of the same print stations for 11,000? So,
Her authority level to purchase is the director's
oh,
authority
okay,
level.
you're
is
not saying that these
$20,000.
machines are 20,000?
No.
Yeah,
Those were
okay,
the prices that-
okay, I missed the stuff in there.
And like I said, I'm
Okay.
really surprised. I am totally surprised that they didn't go up more.
Well, it's okay. I mean, I
Then
don't have
that-
any issues with it. I would just like to understand the whole process. That's all. Informed consent. It explains a whole lot.
If
that's
there's not,
your
if there's not
decision.
any additional discussion, I would move that we purchase the 2 printers for the printer station in the amount of $11,888.58.
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, I'll let Mark know when we get that going.
Now come to the vehicle, right?
Yes, the van. How this came about was, Dave was going to, be in Jefferson City, and I asked him if he wanted to run by and take a look, or he looked online to see if they had any vans at the Missouri State Surface Supply. They did, so he stopped by and took a look at them. Nick, our courier, suggested instead, he has used cars, trucks, little SUVs, and a van during his courier routes, and he thought that the vans worked better. I think that the vans work better in case we have to, even as a board or even branch managers, or need to go somewhere for training or go back and forth. They work better for getting stuff in and out, people in and out.
This
As
is the
well.
van.
Mhm.
Yes, I did print
Did
that
I
off.
look?
Also,
You need to look.
No.
I did, look on Kelly Blue Book, and they had another, van like this, at Jim Butler, I guess, in Centralia. That's all I could find, and it was listed for $14,430. Now, I know that we do have the money in for next year's budget. So, it just becomes a point, do we want to wait and try then, or do we want to do this now? Dave said it was a nice van at a good price. It looks nice, the inside and outside is nice, so that's kind of where we
Do we
are.
have a mechanic look at it or get a Carfax or a service
You don't
record?
do that.
No, it's
Through
right
them.
from the state.
What was it used for prior?
Well, I think Dave said that these were used for the lottery,
What do you mean?
the lottery group.
Yeah.
Those were those vehicles. They're state vehicles.
Yeah.
Government
Oh,
vehicles
So it's like people from the government
Yes.
areas?
From the state,
from the state.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
we call it candy, we call it Candyland, because you can pick up some really good stuff.
Can anybody
at
go
really
there and
good
buy a
prices
car?
No.
For a very
What if I
reasonable
tell them
amount.
I'm a board
Well
member?
maintained.
Right,
Well, I
and this
drove
is
some of
coming
those-
from the
those
state.
State cars, and I know that they have service records
Right,
on all
and
of them,
their
so.
maintenance is generally good from the state's perspective. I did kind of what Vicky did. I checked and there were multiple vehicles that fell within this category of a 2018 Grand Caravan SE with that type of mileage under and over. And the trade-in value was anywhere from $6,826 to $8,531. That's trade-in value, which is not anywhere near what your retail, cost would be. The used sales that I looked at, and there were multiple vehicles, I remember somewhere between, I think 4 and 6, it fell in the category of from $12,000 to $15,000. So if we were to pick up this vehicle at $8,000, $8,375, that would be, we'd be saving money. And we have done this in the past. We have not, I'm not gonna tell you we won't get a limit. There's no guarantee on
There's no
this,
guarantee.
okay? It's a crapshoot. But I will tell you this, that for we've bought all the vehicles that we've got out there from this policy or this source, this practice, okay? And they have all been well worth the money. So, I think I'll be real honest with you. I'd be surprised if it's available right now. I don't know when Dave found that.
Well, it was
But those
available.
things go so quickly.
Yeah.
People are always looking for those, and we had looked in the past and we couldn't find anything. Because the minute that they hit, the auction issue, they were gone. Okay,
Is this vehicle gonna replace anything, or it's just
It's
adding?
replacing our Escape that we got rid of.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So, all
Yes,
right.
it's a replacement vehicle.
So is there a motion on the table to go forward with this?
I make a motion that we purchase the 2018 Grand Caravan SE from state surplus
Is there a
Oh,
in the
second?
amount of
Second.
$8,375.
I'll second.
And if it's still available, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, here's the picture. Oh, in fact, I did send you a picture of
Yep, I've
this.
seen
I
that.
love that. I took a drafting class in 8th grade, and that's still how I draw things up before I make them.
Well, it's not gonna be any cost to the library. It'll provide shade out there for the people who are working in their garden.
I saw a kit at Walmart for $239. It was nice too, and it actually had windows and it had sides that windows you could put down, and I was like, wow. So
I think
the
that they,
material costs, the materials, they're gonna support
it's not gonna cost us a dime.
materials and.
No, they're gonna, the
everything.
garden club takes care of this. They are going to, solicit donations for the materials, free to us.
Yeah.
So garden club, does that mean some of the public is helping build that or?
The garden club that does our gardens up front here, yes, well,
But
they,
we do pay for their service.
yes, we do a very
So what-
minimal fee.
Might have some high school kids learning how to build stuff and things like that?
I don't know.
Who's-
It will be the garden club,
Probably a
That's up to
community
them.
effort.
members, yeah.
looking at
And they
the community
may,
effort, that's
they
great.
may enlist the help of some of the people that have the plots out there now.
Yeah.
But I know this summer was hot and dry, they could have used something like that out there.
So are they gonna do the picnic tables as well?
Mhm.
And this is gonna be all wood? Metal roof?
Metal roof,
Yeah, I saw I told you look at Walmart for easy peasy, but the metal roof and the stuff was more like $700 versus the one I looked at. So, is there a motion to have the garden club do this?
Make a motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All we
Okay.
need to do is find a car club that will donate vehicles to us.
Maybe the Corvette Club.
Let's go with Corvette. I'll take one of those. Yeah.
Good idea, Bill.
Get something airbagged and tubbed, is that what you're saying?
So moving on, then, the community garden is done. Okay, so, the president's comments, just go back to, what I've already mentioned before about customer service. I like to see everybody take that class. I would like if everybody just, if you haven't, review the positions of the trustee duties in the policy manual, either ours and actually the Missouri Public, catalog has a better description of the public trustee manual has a better description of what the trustee jobs are. I would just appreciate that if people would look at that and look at it. And then, the next part, is anybody have any comments about any comments to me back about this? I think there's some concerns about the trustee manual and the library trustees and the role of the president and the role of the VP and the role of secretary treasurer. And that's all discussed in the Missouri Public Library trustee manual. And as far as the Secretary of State, I asked for more detail, and that's the best detail they could give us. And it's not written in stone, it's what their recommendations come from, as well as what's in our own policy manual. And so then the next part is the branch reports. I had some questions on that. I did talk to Mark earlier about, in reading his comments, I wanted to know what he meant. Since he's not at this meeting, I went to him. He made comments on here about, let me find my note. Something about a different panel. The additional response patron request, Camdenton patron PCs received additional language and keyboard support packs, ensuring a more inclusive and accessible experience for all users. I didn't understand what all that was about, so when I asked him about what this all meant, he said that he had a patron that came in that's Cherokee and they have their own language, and so he wanted to add it to the typing board so that they have that. When I didn't know, Microsoft, I guess, has those capabilities so that we can do all of that and pick different languages. I know the different languages were in there, but I didn't realize that the Indian stuff was in there. And then according to Mark, with these, MK printer was just for the spacers make, but the other patron, laptops, that he was funny, he kind of grinned at it because he said, I got them on Black Friday the last time, so he wanted to see about doing the Black Friday thing is on the other part. Now, the other questions I have are, this, I don't understand the circulation report on the branches, Vicky. This piece of it, I don't, it doesn't tell me anything, just a circulation report. I guess I don't understand. And then all the rest of this stuff at the very bottom, that's all from Evergreen. Those statistics are all from Evergreen.
Yes, ma'am. The
Okay.
statistics at the top are all the materials that went out each month by branch.
Okay. All
Just
right.
our circulation by month, by
Okay.
branch.
And maybe everybody understands the pink, yellow, and the green thing that
Yeah, that Coley does.
Coley does.
Well, I have a solution, I think, to that, because you had asked about wanting to know a little bit more information. So I was thinking maybe we can set up a time if anybody else is interested in learning that Coley can explain where she's getting this and what she is comparing and stuff. Yes. We can either, everybody is interested, we could do it at a meeting. If not, we could just schedule a time where we can have those that are interested or even come in and she can explain where those analytics are coming from.
I agree. And then she said, I wanted to know the amount of views that our videos are getting. And that was on the sheet, but I didn't get that sheet from her on the documents, that piece. So I have to relook on that one because I don't see where, I'm just curious how much we're looking at stuff and how she comes up this increase or decrease on the CCL website analytics, Facebook, if these are how she gets her numbers. I guess I just need better explanation.
No, I think it's a good idea to have her explain that.
Terminology of Facebook Insights, what that is, Google My Business, if I just needed a description of the terminology, and I'm like, no, I think I want to be able to understand all of it and how it is. So I'm interested in that, to have her do that. And then,
Before you go on, I mean, Vicky has offered that to everyone else, that if everyone is interested, it probably would be best to take some time during one of our board meetings, even though time seems to be precious, and we keep expanding our time period.
Do we want to put her on?
Or, if it,
Yeah,
what
that's
is the
fine.
interest of the rest of the board? So.
I can do that. I'm willing to do that in the meeting or set up a private time. I'm good either way.
she's probably got it all down, had it won't take her 10-15 minutes to explain it all to us, and perhaps she could use
Little
the.
PowerPoint, or
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
even,
Yeah.
gosh, for that matter, she could distribute maybe a PowerPoint that would explain some of that. I don't know. What do you think about that?
I don't want her to have to go to extra work if we can accomplish the
We'll
same.
just have her come in and explain how she's getting those
Okay.
figures.
Yeah,
Okay.
So put her on the next board meeting, is that okay?
that's fine.
Thank you.
Can we put it on the January board meeting?
Certainly.
Board meeting?
Sounds good.
Do you think we can, wait that long to get that discussed?
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
I had a question regarding the technology report on the tech mini grant.
Mhm.
How much is that? What do we get for that?
8,000 something,
Right.
$8,000.
8,000?
Now,
And
the grant did not award everything that we
No.
had applied for.
Correct.
So we will not be purchasing the stuff that we did not get funded.
okay, because he's talking about an Pressa MK4 printer.
Right.
And will this grant cover the purchase of that printer?
Yes.
How much is the printer?
Well, I don't have those figures in front of me. I will resend the email that I had sent originally.
Just ballpark.
I don't know.
Oh,
I have too many figures in my mind. I don't know.
and then what do we do with the outdated equipment? What happens with that?
That's a good question. A lot of stuff that we have that's outdated. Mark will leave it back here in our room for spare parts if we need it. And then when it gets to the point that we're not gonna need those for spare parts anymore, we have sold printers up at the front. We'll put them out in the lobby and sell them if anybody needs them. But once he has picked them kind of clean for parts or whatever,
Oh,
if they're still operating. we're
I
not
was,
gonna need them to
I was
put 'em up
just
there.
curious if you sell them afterwards.
Some of them we do, some of them
Yeah.
he keeps.
Oh, okay. All righty, that was my question.
Some of it we jump.
And some of it we do junk. Not very much. Mark's kind of frugal too. Like all of us here, he'll upcycle as much as he can.
So Vicky, the other thing was the AED battery update on there's two of the branches that don't have batteries, I guess.
They're on my cart now.
So I guess I should look at your AED from what I'm familiar with the AED. Cause ours are always plugged in and you
They're not,
never,
they're calling them batteries. They are the pads that needed to be replaced because the pads are only good for so long.
Oh, well,
those-
that's a whole different, that's a
Right.
whole different terminology
I
then.
know.
So those are, yeah, okay.
So the
So I
pads
was
have
gonna
been.
say, it's, the batteries never, should ever go down because it's
No,
plugged in
they're
until
plugged in
you
all the
check it, and then
Right.
you unplug it to check
I
it.
think it's actually like a capacitive discharge, so that it doesn't come through the cord. The cords have to bring it up to a level.
No,
And so that thing's unable to
yeah,
charge, I
I've
think.
done several AED, stuff, so I just
Sorry.
was curious what this, that's
Yes,
why I'm asking.
I
because I'm
ordered them
like,
and they are on the cart to go out to them. We're gonna have to have someone, I'm sure probably, Dave will take them out and get them all put back into the.
And they plug them
units.
into the one, you
They're
have to
all-
open one package, so keep the open packages that are outdated to use for their testing. That way you don't ruin the other ones that get
Yes.
the air to them, to the pads that dry out.
Also, while we're on that topic, the previous board had approved purchasing those machines, one for Osage Beach and one here. I don't know if you recall that or not.
Well,
Well,
you didn't get them because you got the EMT guys so close
Well,
by, is what I
we-
understood.
no, we didn't, we have not received them because they were on back order and back order and back order. So I finally had to cancel them because they were not gonna get them. So we have not reordered them or tried to find somebody to replace them, to order them with. I keep going back to the same people and they're still back ordered.
So,
So they have not been purchased.
okay, so then my next question is, who's BCLS, certified in the library? Is anybody? And if not, we need to have a course for them to at least have basic life support.
We all have had that training. The last training we had, all front facing staff was certified.
And you do it every 2 years.
I don't know if it's every 2 years or,
It's every 2 years.
well, it might need to be every 2 years. I'm not sure that we do it. I know we did it probably about a year or so ago, I believe. I can look that up.
Well, it's different if you do the BCLS as a regular program and have the recertification. It doesn't take as long as unless you're gonna, if you let
Yes.
your years expire, then you get the whole.
Thing over again.
Uh-huh. And if you're changing, people working all the time, then if we don't have an
Yep.
AED, your BLS people then are your next in line, and then the phone call goes from 911 to get the guys. But everybody should be BLS, in my opinion.
No, I agree.
The community is important to have that done. From my, so it's the batteries, it's the pads that we're missing.
Mhm. That's
Because,
the battery.
right, and they're expired but not open.
Right, you can, from what I understand, and I don't know, you know more about this than I do, that they are still good, but they recommend that you get new ones. So that's kind of what we follow the recommendation.
Yeah, they just want you to buy more stuff, but sometimes those are, if they're not opened, that's right, but they have to open one in order to do it correctly. To open one, to plug it into the stuff to make sure it's all done correctly. Usually, unless your machines are different than what I'm used to working with. So, okay, that's what's my question about those. And then who were the BLS people? And to find out about who's BLS
Okay.
and you could maybe.
I will
report
double
on-
check those dates.
Just
Um,
find out and ask if everybody, Susan, if we need to have
Who's on
a,
front
have a
facing
course, have a
staff?
course. Okay,
it wasn't that
Um,
long ago.
that's the branch reports part. And then, any questions on anything we've discussed in this meeting that we need to discuss now before we go into motion to go into closed session? A motion to close the meeting to go into closed session.
Motion to go into closed session.
A motion to go into closed session.
Second.
What
Okay.
are we going into closed session about? Is it just to review an applicant?
No, well, there's another personnel issue we need to
Okay.
discuss.
All right,
Okay, so
got it.
We'll allow our
You're an
visitors.
Second.
yeah, you're a yay.
Yay.
Yeah.
Oh, yays.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yay, yay,
Yeah.
yay.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you guys for
You're done.
coming.
Oh,
We
yeah.
appreciate your input.
Thank you.
If you see the comment and anything, feel free to send us notes.
Stay out of trouble, Don.
Mr.
Yeah,
Newhart.
well, no guarantees, right?
Wait, we need to stop the recording too.
Okay.
Don Newhart.
How about a 3-minute break?
Oh, that would be great.
It's actually a concept.
Just to walk around.